growing harsher. I twirl my tongue around his tip to push down again in perfect counterpoint to him. Jesus, Anna. He sighs and screws his eyes shut tightly. He's lost, and it's heavy. His response to me. Me. And very slowly I draw my lips back, so it's just my teeth. Ah! Christian stops moving. Leaning forward, he grabs me and pulls me onto his lap. Enough, he growls. Reaching behind me, he frees my hands with one tug on my panties. I flex my wrists and stare from under my lashes into scorching eyes that gaze back at me with love and longing and lust. And I realize it's me that wants to fuck him. 7 shades of Sunday. I want him badly. I want to watch him come apart beneath me. I grab his erection and scoot over him, placing my other hand on his shoulder. Very gently and slowly, I ease myself onto him. He makes a guttural, feral noise deep in his throat and, reaching up, pulls off my blouse, letting it fall to the floor. His hands move to my hips. Still, he rasps, his hands digging into my flesh. Please. Let me savor this. Savor you. I stop. Oh my. He feels so good inside me. He caresses my face, his eyes wide and wild, his lips parted as he breathes. He flexes beneath me and I moan, closing my eyes. This is my favorite place, he whispers. Inside you. Inside my wife. Oh, fuck. Christian. I cannot hold back. My fingers glide into his wet hair, my lips seek his, and I start to move, up and down on my toes, savoring him, savoring me. He groans loudly, and his hands are in my hair and around my back, and his tongue invades my mouth greedily, taking all that I willingly give. After all our arguing today, my frustration with him, his with me, we still have this. We will always have this. I love him so much, it's almost overwhelming. His hands move to my backside and he controls me, moving me up and down again and again at his pace, his hot, slick tempo. Ah! I groan helplessly into his mouth as I'm carried away. Yes. Yes, Anna. He hisses, and I rain kisses on his face, his chin, his jaw, his neck. Baby, he breathes, capturing my mouth once more. Oh, Christian, I love you. I will always love you. I'm breathless, wanting him to know, wanting him to be sure of me after our battle of wills today. He moans loudly and wraps his arms around me tightly as he climaxes with a mournful sob. And it's enough to push me over the brink once more. I clutch my arms around his head and let go, and I come around him, tears springing to my eyes, because I love him so. Hey, he whispers, tipping my chin back and gazing at me with quiet concern. Why are you crying? Did I hurt you? No, I mutter reassuringly. He smooths my hair off my face, wipes away a lone tear with his thumb, and tenderly kisses my lips. He is still inside me. He shifts, and I wince as he pulls out of me. What's wrong, Anna? Tell me. I sniff. It's just, sometimes I'm overwhelmed by how much I love you. I whisper. After a beat, he smiles his special shy smile, reserved for me, I think. You have the same effect on me, he whispers, and kisses me once more. I smile, and inside my joy unfurls and stretches lazily. Do I? He smirks. You know you do. Sometimes I know, not all the time. Back at you, Mrs. Gray. I grin and gently place feather-like kisses over his chest. I nuzzle his chest hair. Christian caresses my hair and runs a hand down my back. He unclasps my bra and pulls the strap down one arm. I shift, and he tugs the strap down the other arm and drops my bra on the floor. Skin on skin. He murmurs appreciatively and folds me in his arms again. He kisses my shoulder and runs his nose up to my ear. You smell like heaven, Mrs. Gray. So do you, Mr. Gray. I nuzzle him again and inhale his Christian smell, which is now mixed with the heady scent of sex. I could stay wrapped in his arms like this, sated and happy forever. It's just what I need after a full day of back to work, arguing, and bitch slapping. This is where I want to be. And in spite of his control freakery, his megalomania, this is where I belong. Christian buries his nose in my hair and inhales deeply. I let out a contented sigh, and I feel his smile. And we sit, arms clasped around each other, saying nothing. Eventually, reality intrudes. It's late, Christian says, his in my back. Your hair still needs cutting. He chuckles. That it does, Mrs. Gray. Do you have the energy to finish the job you started? For you, Mr. Gray, anything. I kiss his chest once more and reluctantly stand. Don't go. Grabbing my hips, he turns me around. He straightens, then undoes my skirt, letting it drop to the floor. He holds his hand out to me. I take it and step out of my skirt. Now I am dressed solely in stockings and garter belt. You are a mighty fine sight, Mrs. Gray. He sits back in the chair and crosses his arms, giving me a full and frank appraisal. I hold out my hands and twirl for him. God, I'm a lucky son of a bitch, he says admiringly. Yes, you are. He grins. Put my shirt on and you can cut my hair. Like this, you'll distract me, and we'll get to bed. I can't help my answering smile. Knowing that he's watching my every move, I sashay over to where we left my shoes and his shirt. Bending slowly, I reach down, pick up his shirt, smell it, then shrug it on. Christian's eyes are round. He's redone his fly and is watching me intently. That's quite a floor show, Mrs. Gray. Do we have any scissors? I ask innocently, batting my eyelashes. My study, he croaks. I'll go search. Leaving him, I walk into our bedroom and grab my comb from the dressing table before heading to his study. As I enter the main corridor, I notice the door to Taylor's office is open. Mrs. Jones is standing just beyond the door. I stop, rooted to the spot. Taylor is running his fingers down her face and smiling sweetly at her. Then, he leans down and kisses her. Holy shit! Taylor and Mrs. Jones? I gape in astonishment. I mean, I thought, well, I kind of suspected, but obviously they are together. I flush, feeling like a voyeur, and manage to get my feet to move. I scamper across the great room and into Christian's study, switching on the light at his desk. Taylor and Mrs. Jones. Wow. I'm reeling. I always thought Mrs. Jones was older than Taylor. Oh, I have to get my head around this. I open the top drawer and am immediately distracted when I find a gun. Christian has a gun? A revolver. Holy fuck. I had no idea Christian owned a gun. I take it out, slip the release, and check the cylinder. It's fully loaded, but light. Too light. It must be carbon fiber. What does Christian want with a gun? Jeez, I hope he knows how to use it. Ray's perpetual warnings about handguns run quickly through my mind. His army training was never lost. These will kill you, Anna. what you're doing when you're handling a firearm. I put the gun back and find the scissors. Retrieving them quickly, I bolt back to Christian, my head buzzing. Taylor and Mrs. Jones, the revolver. At the entrance to the great room, I run into Taylor. Mrs. Gray, excuse me. His face reddens as he quickly takes in my attire. Taylor, hi. I'm cutting Christian's hair, I blurt out, embarrassed. Taylor is as mortified as I am. He opens his mouth to say something, then closes it quickly and stands aside. After you, ma'am, he says formally. I think I'm the color of my old Audi, the submissive special. Could this be more embarrassing? Thank you, I mutter, and dash down the hallway. Crap! Will I ever get used to the fact that we're not alone? I dash into the bathroom, breathless. What's wrong? Christian is standing in front of the mirror, holding my shoes. All of my scattered clothes are now neatly piled beside the sink. I just ran into Taylor. Oh, Christian frowns. Dressed like that? Oh shit. That's not Taylor's fault. Christian's frown deepens. No, but still. I'm dressed. Barely. I don't know who was more embarrassed, me or him. I try my distraction technique. Did you know he and Gail are, well, together? Christian laughs. Yes, of course I knew. And you never told me? I thought you knew too. No. Anna, they're adults. They live under the same roof. Both unattached. Both attractive. I flush, feeling foolish for not having noticed. Well, if you put it like that, I just thought Gail was older than Taylor. She is, but not by much. He gazes at me, perplexed. Some men like older women. He stops abruptly and his eyes widen. I scowl at him. I know that, I snap. Christian looks contrite. He smiles fondly at me. Yes, my distraction technique successful. My subconscious rolls her eyes at me, but at what cost? Now the unmentionable Mrs. Robinson is looming over us. That reminds me, he says brightly. What? I mutter petulantly. Grabbing the chair, I turn it to face the mirror above the sinks. Sit, I order. Christian regards me with indulgent amusement, but does as he's told and sits back down in the chair. I start to comb through his now merely damp hair. I was thinking we could convert the rooms over the garages for them at the new place. Christian continues. Make it a home. Then maybe Taylor's daughter could stay with him more often. He watches me carefully in the mirror. Why doesn't she stay here? Taylor's never asked me. Perhaps you should offer, but we'd have to behave ourselves. Christian's brow furrows. I hadn't thought of that. Perhaps that's why Taylor hasn't asked. Have you met her? Yes, she's a sweet thing. Shy. Very pretty. I pay for her schooling. Oh. I stop combing and stare at him in the mirror. I had no idea. He shrugs. Seemed the least I could do. Also, it means he won't quit. I'm sure he likes working for you. Christian stares at me blankly, then shrugs. I don't know. I think he's very fond of you, Christian. I resume combing and glance at him. His eyes don't leave mine. You think? Yes, I do. He snorts a dismissive yet content sound, as if he's secretly pleased that his staff may like him. Good. Will you talk to Gia about the rooms over the garage? Yeah. I don't feel the same irritation I did before at the mention of her name. My subconscious nods sagely at me. Yes, we done good today. My inner goddess gloats. Now she'll leave my husband alone and not make him uncomfortable. I am ready to cut Christian's hair. You sure about this? Your last chance to bail. Do your worst, Mrs. Gray. I don't have to look at me. You do. I grin. Christian, I could look at you all day. He shakes his head, exasperated. It's just a pretty face, baby. And behind it is a very pretty man. I kiss his temple. My man. He grins shyly. Lifting the first lock, I comb it upward and snare it between my index and middle finger. I put the comb in my mouth, take the scissors, and make the first snip, cutting an inch off the length. Christian closes his eyes and sits like a statue, sighing contentedly as I continue. Occasionally, he opens his eyes and I catch him watching me intently. He doesn't touch me while I work, and I'm grateful. His touch is distracting. 15 minutes later, I'm done. Finished. I'm pleased with the result. He looks as hot as ever, his hair still floppy and sexy, just a bit shorter. Christian gazes at himself in the mirror, looking pleasantly surprised. He grins. Great job, Mrs. Gray. He turns his head from side to side and snakes his arm around me, pulling me to him. He kisses and nuzzles my belly. Thank you, he says. My pleasure. I bend and kiss him briefly. It's late. Bed. He gives my behind a playful slap. Ah! I should clean up in here. There is hair all over the floor. Christian frowns as if the thought would never have occurred to him. Okay, I'll get the broom, he says wryly. I don't want you embarrassing the staff with your lack of appropriate attire. Do you know where the broom is? I ask innocently. This stops Christian in his tracks. No. I laugh. I'll go. As I climb into bed and wait for Christian to join me, I reflect on how differently this day could have ended. I was so mad at him earlier, and he with me. How am I going to deal with this running a company nonsense? I have no desire to run my own company. I am not him. I need to head this off at the pass. Perhaps I should have a safe word for when he's being overbearing and domineering, for when he's being an arse. I giggle. Perhaps the safe word should be arse. I find the thought very appealing. What? He says as he climbs into bed beside me, wearing only his pajama pants. Nothing, just an idea. What idea? He stretches out beside me. Here goes nothing. Christian, I don't think I want to run a company. He props himself up on his elbow and gazes down at me. Why do you say that? Because it's not something that has ever appealed to me. You're more than capable, Anastasia. I like to read books, Christian. Running a company will take me away from that. You could be the creative head. I frown. You see, he continues, running a successful company is all about embracing the talent of the individuals you have at your disposal. If that's where your talents and your interests lie, then you structure the company to enable that. Don't dismiss it out of hand, Anastasia. You're a very capable woman. I think you can do anything you wanted if you put your mind to it. Whoa, how can he possibly know that I'd be any good at this? I'm also worried it will take up too much of my time. Christian frowns. Time I could devote to you. I deploy my secret weapon. His gaze darkens. I know what you're doing, he murmurs, amused. Damn it. What? I feign innocence. You are trying to distract me from the issue at hand. You always do that. Just don't dismiss the idea, Anna. Think about it. That's all I ask. He leans down and kisses me chastely, then skims his thumb down my cheek. This argument is going to run and run. I smile up at him, and something he said earlier today pops unbidden into my mind. Can I ask you something? My voice is soft, tentative. Of course. Hey, You said if I was angry with you, I should take it out on you in bed. What did you mean? He stills. What did you mean? Holy shit. I should just say it. That you wanted me to tie you up? His eyebrows shoot up in surprise. No, that's not what I meant at all. Oh, I'm surprised by my slight twinge of disappointment. You want to tie me up? He asks, obviously reading my expression correctly. He sounds shocked. I blush. Well, Anna, He stops, and something dark crosses his face. Christian, I whisper, alarmed. I move so that I am lying on my side, propped up on my elbow, like him. I caress his face. His eyes are large and fearful. He shakes his head sadly. Shit. Christian, stop. It doesn't matter. I thought that's what you meant. He takes my hand and places it on his pounding heart. What is it? Anna, I don't know how I'd feel about you touching me if I were restrained. My scalp prickles. It's like he's confessing something deep and dark. This is still too new. His voice is low and raw. It was just a question. And I realize that he's come a long way, but he still has a long way to go. Oh, 50. Anxiety grips my heart. I lean over and he freezes, but I get a soft kiss at the corner of his mouth. Christian, I got the wrong idea. Please don't worry about it. Please don't think about it. I kiss him. He closes his eyes, groans, and reciprocates, pushing me down into the mattress, his hands clasping my chin, and soon we're lost in each other again. Chapter 9. When I wake before the alarm the following morning, Christian is wrapped around me like ivy, his head on my chest, his arm around my waist, and his leg between mine. And he's on my side of the bed. It's the same. If we argue the night before, this is how he ends up, coiled around me, making me hot and bothered. Oh, 50. He is so needy on some level. Who would have thought? The familiar vision of Christian as a dirty, wretched little boy haunts me. Gently, I stroke his shorter hair and my melancholy recedes. He stirs, and his sleepy eyes meet mine. He blinks a couple of times as he wakes. Hi, he murmurs and smiles. Hi. I love waking to that smile. He nuzzles my breasts and hums appreciatively down my throat. His hand travels down from my waist, skimming over the cool satin of my nightgown. What a tempting morsel you are, he mutters. But, tempting though you are, he glances at the alarm. I have to get up. He stretches out, untangles himself from me, and rises. I lie back, put my hands behind my head, and enjoy the show. Christian stripping for his shower. He is perfect. I wouldn't change a hair on his head. Admiring the view, Mrs. Gray? Christian arches a sardonic brow at me. It's a mighty fine view, Mr. Gray. He grins and throws his pajama pants at me so they almost land on my face. But I catch them in time, giggling like a schoolgirl. With a wicked grin, he pulls the duvet off, puts one knee on the bed, grabs my ankles, and drags me toward him so that my nightdress rides up. I squeal, and he crawls up my body, trailing little kisses on my knee, my thigh, my... Oh, Christian. Good morning, Mrs. Gray. Mrs. Jones greets me. I flush, embarrassed, remembering her tryst with Taylor the night before. Good morning, I respond as she hands me a cup of tea. I sit on the bar stool beside my husband, who just looks radiant. Freshly showered, his hair still damp, wearing a crisp white shirt and that silver gray tie. My favorite tie. I have fond memories of that tie. How are you, Mrs. Gray? He asks, his eyes warm. I think you know, Mr. Gray. I gaze up at him through my lashes. He smirks. Eat, he orders. You didn't eat yesterday. Oh, bossy 50. That's because you were being an arse. Mrs. Jones drops something that clatters into the sink, making me jump. Christian seems oblivious to the noise. Ignoring her, he stares at me impassively. Arse or not. His tone is serious. No arguing with him. Okay. Picking up spoon. Eating granola. I mutter like a petulant teenager. I reach for the Greek yogurt and spoon some onto my cereal, followed by a handful of blueberries. I glance at Mrs. Jones and she catches my I smile, and she responds with a warm smile of her own. She has provided me with my breakfast of choice, which was introduced to me on our honeymoon. I may have to go to New York later in the week. Christian's announcement interrupts my reverie. Oh, it'll mean an overnight. I want you to come with me. Christian, I won't get the time off. He gives me his, oh really, but I'm the boss, stare. I sigh. I know you own the company, but I've been away for 3 weeks. Please, how can you expect me to run the business if I'm never there? I'll be fine here. I'm assuming you'll take Taylor with you, but Ryan will be here. I stop, because Christian is grinning at me. What? I snap. Nothing. Just you, he says. I frown. Is he laughing at me? Then a nasty thought pops into my mind. How are you getting to New York? The company jet. Why? I just wanted to check if you are taking Charlie Tango. My voice is quiet, and a shiver runs down my spine. I remember the last time he flew in his helicopter. A wave of nausea hits me as I recall the anxious hours I spent waiting for news. That was possibly the lowest point in my life. I notice Mrs. Jones has stilled, too. I try to dismiss the idea. I wouldn't fly to New York in Charlie Tango. She doesn't have that kind of range. Besides, she won't be back from the engineers for another 2 weeks. Thank heavens. My smile is partly from relief, but also the knowledge that the demise of Charlie Tango has occupied a great deal of Christian's thoughts and time over the last few weeks. Well, I'm glad she's nearly fixed, but I stop. Can I tell him how nervous I'll be when he flies next time? What? He asks as he finishes his omelet. I shrug. Anna, he says, more sternly. I just, last time you flew in her, we thought, I can't finish the sentence, and Christian's expression softens. Hey, he caresses my face with the backs of his knuckles. That was sabotage. A dark expression crosses his face, and for a moment, I wonder if he knows who was responsible. I couldn't bear to lose you, I murmur. 5 people have been fired because of that, Anna. It won't happen again. 5? He nods, his face serious. Holy crap. That reminds me, there's a gun in your desk. He frowns at my non sequitur and probably at my accusatory tone, though I don't mean it that way. It's Layla's, he says finally. It's fully loaded. How do you know? His frown deepens. I checked it yesterday. He scowls at me. I don't want you messing with guns. Safety back on. I blink at him, momentarily stupefied. Christian, there's no safety on that revolver. Don't you know anything about guns? His eyes widen. No. Taylor coughs discreetly from the entrance. Christian nods at him. We have to go, Christian says. He stands, distracted, and slips on his gray jacket. I follow him into the hallway. He has Layla's gun. I am stunned by this news and briefly wonder what's happened to her. Is she still in... where is it? East somewhere? New Hampshire? I can't remember. Good morning, Taylor, Christian says. Good morning, Mr. Gray, Mrs. Gray. He nods at us both, but he's careful not to look me in the eye. I am grateful, recalling my state of undress when we bumped into each other last night. I am just going to brush my teeth, I mutter. Christian always brushes his teeth before breakfast. I don't understand why. You should ask Taylor to teach you how to shoot, I say as we travel down in the elevator. Christian gazes down at me, amused. Should I now? He says dryly. Yes. Anastasia, I despise guns. My mom has patched up too many victims of gun crime, and my dad is vehemently anti-gun. I grew up with their ethos. I support at least 2 gun control initiatives here in Washington. Oh, does Taylor carry a gun? Christian's mouth bends. Sometimes. You don't approve? I ask as Christian ushers me out of the elevator on the ground floor. No, he says, tight-lipped. Let's just say that Taylor and I hold very different views with regard to gun control. I'm with Taylor on this. Christian holds the foyer door open for me and I head out to the car. He has not let me drive alone to SIP since he found out that Charlie Tango was sabotaged. Sawyer smiles pleasantly, holding the door open for me as Christian and I climb into the car. Please. I reach across and grasp Christian's hand. Please what? Learn how to shoot. He rolls his eyes at me. No. End of discussion, Anastasia. And again, I am a child to be scolded. I open my mouth to say something cutting, but decide I don't want to start my workday in a bad mood. I fold my arms instead and glimpse Taylor regarding me in the rearview mirror. He looks away, concentrating on the road in front, but shakes his head a little in obvious frustration. Christian drives him crazy too sometimes. The thought makes me smile, and my mood is saved. Where is Layla? I ask as Christian gazes out of his window. I told you, she's in Connecticut with her folks. He glances at me. Did you check? After all, she does have long hair. It could have been her driving the Dodge. Yes, I checked. She's enrolled in an art school in Hamden. She started this week. You've spoken to her? I whisper, all the blood draining from my face. Christian whips his head around at the tone of my voice. No, Lynn has. He searches my face for a clue to my thoughts. I see. What? Nothing. Christian sighs. Anna, what is it? I shrug, not wanting to admit to my irrational jealousy. Christian continues. I'm keeping tabs on her, checking that she stays on her side of the continent. She's better, Anna. Glenn has referred her to a shrink in New Haven, and all the reports are very positive. She's always been interested in art, so... He stops, his face still searching mine. And in that moment, I suspect that he is paying for her art classes. Do I want to know? Should I ask him? I mean, it's not as if he can't afford it. But why does he feel the obligation? I sigh. Christian's baggage hardly compares to Bradley Kent from biology class in his half-assed attempts to kiss me. Christian reaches for my hand. Sweat this, Anastasia, he murmurs, and I return his reassuring squeeze. I know he's doing what he thinks is right. Mid-morning, I have a break in meetings. As I pick up the phone to call Kate, I notice an email from Christian. From Christian Gray. Subject, flattery. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 9:54. To Anastasia Gray. Mrs. Gray. I have received 3 compliments on my new haircut. Compliments from my staff are new. It must be the ridiculous smile I'm wearing whenever I think about last night. You are indeed a wonderful, talented, beautiful woman, and all mine. Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. I melt reading it. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, trying to concentrate here. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 10:48. To Christian Gray. Mr. Gray, I am trying to work and don't want to be distracted by delicious memories. Is now the time to confess that I used to cut Ray's hair regularly? I had no idea it would be such useful training. And yes, I am yours, and you, my dear, overbearing husband, who refuses to exercise his constitutional right under the Second Amendment to bear arms, are mine. But don't worry, because I shall protect you. Always. Anastasia Gray, Editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, Annie Oakley. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 10:53. To Anastasia Gray. Mrs. Gray, I am delighted to see you have spoken to the IT department and changed your name. Big smile emoticon. I shall keep safe in my bed knowing that my gun-toting wife sleeps beside me. Christian Gray, CEO and hoplophobe, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. Hoplophobe? What the hell is that? From Anastasia Gray. Subject, long words. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 10:58. To Christian Gray. Mr. Gray, once more you dazzle me with your linguistic prowess. In fact, your prowess in general. And I think you know what I'm referring to. Anastasia Gray, Editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, gasp. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:01. To Anastasia Gray. Mrs. Gray, are you flirting with me? Christian Gray, shocked, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, would you rather? Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:04. To Christian Gray. I flirted with someone else. Anastasia Gray, Brave Editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, grrr. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:09. To Anastasia Gray. No. Christian Gray, Possessive CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, wow. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:14. To Christian Gray. Are you growling at me? Cause that's kinda hot. Anastasia Gray. Squirming, in a good way. Editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, beware. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:16. To Anastasia Gray. Flirting and toying with me, Mrs. Gray? I may pay you a visit this afternoon. Christian Gray, Priapic CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, oh no. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:20. To Christian Gray. I'll behave. I wouldn't want my boss's boss's boss getting on top of me at work. Winking emoticon. Now let me get on with my job. My boss's boss's boss may fire my ass. Anastasia Gray, Editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, unspecified expletive symbols. Date, August 23rd, 2011. 11:23. To Anastasia Gray. Believe me when I say there are a great many things he'd like to do to your ass right now. Firing you is not one of them. Christian Gray, CEO and Assman, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. His response makes from Anastasia Gray. Subject, go away. Date, August 23rd, 2011, 11:26. To Christian Gray. Don't you have an empire to run? Stop bothering me. My next appointment is here. I thought you were a breast man. Think about my ass, and I'll think about yours. ILYX. Anastasia Gray, now moist editor, SIP. I cannot help my despondent mood as Sawyer drives me to the office on Thursday. Christian's threatened business trip to New York has happened, and though he's been gone only a few hours, I miss him already. I fire up my computer and there's an email waiting for me. My mood lifts immediately. From Christian Gray. Subject, miss you already. Date, August 25th, 2011, 4:32. To Anastasia Gray. Mrs. Gray, you were adorable this morning. Behave while I'm away. I love you. Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. This will be the first night we've slept apart since our wedding. I intend to have a few cocktails with Kate. That should help me sleep. Impulsively, I email him back, although I know that he's still flying. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, behave yourself. Date, August 25th, 2011, 9:03. To Christian Gray. Let me know when you land. I'll worry until you do. And I shall behave. I mean, how much trouble can I get into with Kate? Anastasia Gray, editor, SIP. I hit send and sipped my latte, courtesy of Hannah. Who knew I'd grow to love coffee? Despite the fact that I'm going out this evening with Kate, I feel like a chunk of me is missing. At the moment, it's 35,000 feet somewhere above the Midwest en route to New York. I didn't know I would feel this unsettled and anxious just because Christian's away. Surely, over time, I won't feel this loss and uncertainty, will I? I let out a heavy sigh and continue with my work. Around lunchtime, I start managing my email and my BlackBerry for a text. Where is he? Has he landed safely? Hannah asks if I want lunch, but I'm too apprehensive and wave her away. I know it's irrational, but I need to be sure he's arrived safely. My office phone rings, startling me. Gray. Hi. Christian's voice is warm with a trace of amusement. Relief floods through me. Hi. I'm grinning from ear to ear. How was your flight? Long. What are you doing with Kate? Oh no. We're just going out for a quiet drink. Christian says nothing. Sawyer and the new woman, Prescott, are coming to watch over us, I offer, trying to placate him. I thought Kate was coming to the apartment. She is, after a quick drink. Please let me go out. Christian sighs heavily. Why didn't you tell me? He says quietly. Too quietly. I mentally kick myself. Christian, we'll be fine. I have Ryan, Sawyer, and Prescott here. It's only a quick drink. Christian remains resolutely silent, and I know he's not happy. I've seen her only a few times since you and I met. Please, she's my best friend. Anna, I don't want to keep you from your friends, but I thought she was coming back to the apartment. Okay, I acquiesce. We'll stay in. Only while this lunatic is out there. Please. I've said okay, I mutter in exasperation, rolling my eyes. Christian snorts softly down the phone. I always know when you're rolling your eyes at me. I scowl at the receiver. Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry you. I'll tell Kate. Good. He breathes, his relief evident. I feel guilty for worrying him. Where are you? On the tarmac at JFK. Oh, so you just landed? Yes. You asked me to call the moment I landed. I smile. My subconscious glares at me. See? He does what he says he's going to do. Well, Mr. Gray, I'm glad one of us is punctilious. He laughs. Mrs. Gray, your gift for hyperbole knows no bounds. What am I going to do with you? I am sure you'll think of something imaginative. You usually do. Are you flirting with me? Yes. I sense his grin. I'd better go. Anna, do as you're told, please. The security team knows what they're doing. Yes, Christian, I will. I sound exasperated again. Geez, I get the message. I'll see you tomorrow evening. I'll call you later. To check up on me? Yes. Oh, Christian, I scold him. Au revoir, Mrs. Gray. Au revoir, Christian. I love you. He inhales sharply. And I, you, Anna. Neither of us hangs up. Hang up, Christian, I whisper. You're a bossy little thing, aren't you? You're a bossy little thing. Fine. He breathes. Do as you're told. Hang up. Yes, sir. I hang up and grin stupidly at the phone. A few moments later, an email appears in my inbox. From Christian Gray. Subject, twitching palms. Date, August 25th, 2011. 13:42. Eastern Daylight Time. To Anastasia Gray. Mrs. Gray, you are as entertaining as ever on the phone. I mean it. Do as you're told. I need to know you're safe. I love you. Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. Honestly, he's the bossy one. But one phone call and all my anxiety has disappeared. He's arrived safely and he's fussing about me as usual. I hug myself momentarily. God, I love that man. Hannah knocks on my door, distracting me, and brings me back to the now. Kate looks gorgeous. In her tight white jeans and red camisole, she's ready to rock the town. She's chatting animatedly with Claire in reception when I make my entrance. Anna! She cries, scooping me up in a Kate hug. She holds me at arm's length. Don't you look the mogul's wife? Who would have thought? Little Anna Steele. You look so sophisticated. She grins. I roll my eyes at her. I'm wearing a pale cream shift dress with a navy blue belt and navy pumps. It's good to see you, Kate. I hug her back. So, where are we going? Christian wants us to go back to the apartment. Oh, really? Can't we sneak a quick cocktail at the Zigzag Cafe? I've booked us a table. I open my mouth to protest. Please. She whines and pouts prettily. She must be picking this up from Mia. She never pouts normally. I'd really like a cocktail at the Zigzag. We had such fun the last time we went there, and it's close to Kate's apartment. I hold up my index finger. 1. She grins. 1. She links her arm in mine, and we stroll out to the car, which is parked at the curb with Sawyer at the wheel. We're followed by Miss Belinda Prescott, who's new to the security team. a tall African-American with a no-nonsense attitude. I've yet to warm to her, maybe because she's too cool and professional. The jury is definitely out, but, like the rest of the team, she's been hand-picked by Taylor. She's dressed like Sawyer, in a dark, somber pantsuit. Can you take us to the zigzag, please, Sawyer? Sawyer turns to look at me, and I know he wants to say something. He's obviously been given his orders. He hesitates. The Zigzag Cafe. We'll have only one drink. I give Kate a sideways glance, and she's glaring at Sawyer. Poor man. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Gray requested you go back to the apartment. Prescott pipes up. Mr. Gray isn't here. I snap. The zigzag, please. Ma'am. Sawyer replies with a sideways glance at Prescott, who wisely holds her tongue. Kate gapes at me as if she can't believe her eyes and ears. I purse my lips and shrug. Okay, so I'm a little more assertive than I used to be. Kate nods as Sawyer pulls out into the early evening traffic. You know the additional security is driving Grace and Mia crazy, Kate says. I gawk at her, baffled. You didn't know? She seems incredulous. Know what? Security for all of the Grays has been tripled. Gazillioned, even. Really? He hasn't told you? I flush. No? Damn it, Christian. Do you know why? Jack Hyde. What about Jack? I thought he was just after Christian. I gasped. How do you even know where this guy is? Why hasn't he told me? Since Monday, Kate says. Last Monday? We identified Jack on Sunday. But why all the Grays? How do you know all this? Elliot. Of course. Christian hasn't told you any of this, has he? I flush once more. No. Oh, Anna, how annoying. I sigh. As ever, Kate has hit the nail squarely on the head in her usual sledgehammer style. Do you know why? If Christian's not going to tell me, then maybe Kate will. Elliot said it's something to do with information stored on Jack Hyde's computer when he was at SIP. Holy crap. You're kidding. A surge of anger pulses through me. How does Kate know about this when I don't? I glance up to see Sawyer eyeing me in the rearview mirror. The red light turns to green and he surges forward, focusing on the road ahead. I hold my finger up to my lips and Kate nods. I bet Sawyer knows too, and I don't. How's Elliot? I ask to change the subject. Kate grins stupidly, telling me all I need to know. Sawyer pulls up at the end of the passageway that leads down to the Zigzag Cafe, and Prescott. I scoot out and Kate slides out after me. We link arms and meander down the passage, followed by Prescott, who's wearing a thunderous expression on her face. Oh, for heaven's sake, it's just a drink. Sawyer drives off to park the car.
Hello, doggy.
So, how does Elliot know Gia? I ask, taking a sip of my second strawberry mojito. The bar is intimate and cozy, and I don't want to leave. Kate and I have not stopped talking. I had forgotten how much I like hanging with her. It's liberating to be out, relaxing, enjoying Kate's company. I contemplate texting Christian, then dismiss the idea. He'll just be mad and make me go home like an errant child. Don't talk to me about that bitch, Kate splutters. Kate's reaction makes me laugh. What's so funny, Steele? She snaps, but not seriously. I feel the same way. You do? Yes, she was all over Christian. She had a fling with Elliot. Kate pouts. No. Her lips pressed together in a patented Catherine Kavanaugh scowl. It was brief. Last year, I think. She's a social climber. No wonder she has her sights set on Christian. Christian is taken. I told her to leave him alone or I would fire her. Kate gapes at me once more, stunned. I nod proudly, and she lifts her glass to salute me, impressed and beaming. Mrs. Anastasia Gray. Way to go. We clink. Does Elliot own a gun? No, he's very anti-gun. Kate stirs her third drink. Christian, too. I think it was Grace and Carrick's influence. I mutter. I'm feeling a little tipsy. Carrick's a good man. Kate nods. He wanted a prenup. I mutter sadly. Oh, Anna. She reaches across the table and grasps my arm. He was only looking out for his boy. As we both know, you have gold digger tattooed on your forehead. She smiles at me, and I poke my tongue at it. Mature, Mrs. Gray, she says, grinning. She sounds like Christian. You'll do the same for your son one day. My son? I gape at her. It hadn't even crossed my mind that my kids will be rich. Holy crap. They'll want for nothing. I mean, nothing. This needs further thought, but not right now. I glance at Prescott and Sawyer seated nearby, watching us and the evening crowd from a side table, while they each nurse sparkling mineral water. Do you think we should eat? I ask. No, we should drink, Kate says. Why are you in such a drinking mood? Because I don't see enough of you anymore. I didn't know you'd up and marry the first guy who turned your head. She pouts again. Honestly, you married so quickly that I thought you were pregnant. I giggle. Everyone thought I was pregnant. I mutter. Let's not rehash that conversation again, please. And I have to use the restroom. Prescott accompanies me. She says nothing. She doesn't have to. Disapproval radiates off her like a lethal isotope. I haven't been out on my own since I got married. I mutter wordlessly at the closed stall door. I make a face, knowing that she's standing on the other side of the door, waiting while I pee. What precisely is Hyde going to do in a bar anyway? Christian is just overreacting, as usual. Kate, it's late. We should go. It's 10:15 and I have downed my fourth strawberry mojito. I am definitely feeling the effects of the alcohol. Warm and fuzzy. Christian will be fine. Eventually. Sure, Anna. It's been so good to see you. You just seem so much more, I don't know, confident. Marriage obviously agrees with you. My face warms. Coming from Miss Catherine Cavanaugh, this is indeed a compliment. It does, I whisper. And because I've probably had too much to drink, tears prick the backs of my eyes. Could I be any happier? In spite of all his baggage, his nature, his 50-ness, I have met and married the man of my dreams. I quickly change the subject to stem my sentimental thoughts, because I know I will cry otherwise. I have really enjoyed this evening. I grasp Kate's hand. Thank you for dragging me out. We hug. As she releases me, I nod at Sawyer and he hands Prescott the keys to the car. I'm sure Miss Goody Two-Shoes Prescott has told Christian I'm not at home. He'll be mad, I mutter to Kate, and maybe he'll think of some delicious way to punish me. Hopefully. Why are you grinning like a loon, Anna? Do you like making Christian mad? No, not really, but it's easily done. He's very controlling sometimes. Most of the time. I've noticed, Kate says wryly.
Great question. I have over 200 accounts. Just put in ViralRabbi.com _ and you'll see. Just ViralRabbi.com has thousands of followers itself. Just you have tons of people. More content than anyone ever.
I have missed Girl Talk. It's fun and relaxing, and it reminds me that I'm still young. I must make more of an effort to see Kate. But the truth is, I love being in my bubble with Christian. Last night we attended a charity dinner together. There were so many men in suits and well-groomed, elegant women talking about real estate prices and the failing economy and the plunging stock markets. I mean, it was dull. Really dull. So, it's refreshing to let my hair down with someone my own age. My stomach rumbles. I still haven't eaten. Shit. Christian. I scramble through my purse and fish out my BlackBerry. Holy crap. 5 missed calls. 1 text. Where the hell are you? And 1 email. From Christian Grey. Subject, angry. You've not seen angry. Date, August 26, 2011. 0042, Eastern Standard Time. To Anastasia. Anastasia, Sawyer tells me that you are drinking cocktails in a bar when you said you wouldn't. Do you have any idea how mad I am at the moment? I'll see you tomorrow. Christian Grey, CEO, Grey Enterprises Holdings, Inc. My heart sinks. Oh shit. I really am in trouble. My subconscious glares at me, then shrugs, wearing her "you made your bed, you lie in it" face. What did I expect? I contemplate calling him, but it's late and he's probably asleep.
Really?
Or pacing. I decide a quick text may be enough. I'm in one piece. I had a nice time. Missing you. Please don't be mad. I gaze at my BlackBerry, willing him to respond, but it's ominously silent. I sigh. Prescott pulls up outside Scala, and Sawyer gets up to hold the door open for me. As we stand waiting for the elevator, I take the opportunity to quiz him. What time did Christian call you? Sawyer flushes. About 9:30, ma'am. Why didn't you interrupt my conversation with Kate so I could speak with him? Mr. Grey told me not to. I purse my lips. The elevator arrives and we ride up in silence. I'm suddenly grateful that Christian has a whole night to recover from his condition, and that he's on the other side of the country. It gives me some time. On the other hand, I miss him. The doors to the elevator open, and for a split second, I stare at the foyer table. What is wrong with this picture? The vase of flowers lies smashed into fragments all over the floor of the foyer. Water and flowers and chunks of china are strewn everywhere, and the table is overturned. My scalp prickles, and Sawyer grabs my arm and pulls me back into the elevator. Stay there, he hisses, drawing a gun. He steps into the foyer and disappears from my field of vision. I cower in the back of the elevator. Luke! I hear Ryan call from inside the great room. Code blue! Code blue? You have the perp? Sawyer calls back. Jesus H. Christ! I flatten myself against the elevator wall. What the hell is going on? Adrenaline spikes through my body, and my heart leaps into my throat. I hear soft voices, and a moment later, Sawyer reappears in the foyer, standing in the puddle of water. He holsters his gun. You can come in, Mrs. Grey, he says gently. What's happened, Luke? My voice is barely a whisper. We've had a visitor. He takes my elbow, and I'm grateful for the support. My legs have turned to jelly. I walk with him through the open double doors. Ryan is standing at the entrance of the great room, a cut above his eyes bleeding, and there's another on his mouth. He looks roughed up, his clothes disheveled. But what's more shocking is Jack Hyde slumped at his feet. Chapter 10. My heart is pounding and blood thrums loudly in my eardrums. The alcohol flowing through my system amplifies the sound. Is he? I gasp, unable to finish the sentence and gazing wide-eyed and terrified at Ryan. I can't even look at the prone figure on the floor. No, ma'am. Just knocked out cold. Relief floods through me. Oh, thank God. And you? I asked, gazing at Ryan. I realize I don't know his first name. He's panting as if he's run a marathon. He wipes the corner of his mouth, removing the trace of blood, and a faint bruise is forming on his cheek. He put up one hell of a fight, but I'm okay, Mrs. Gray. He smiles reassuringly. If I knew him better, I'd say he looked a little smug. And Gail? Mrs. Jones? Oh no. Is she okay? Has she been harmed? I'm here, Anna. Glancing behind me, I see she's in a nightdress and robe, her hair loose, her face ashen and her eyes wide, like mine, I imagine. Ryan woke me, insisted I come in here. She points behind her into Taylor's office. I'm fine. Are you okay? I nod briskly and realize she's probably just come out of the panic room that adjoins Taylor's office. Who knew we'd need it so soon? Christian had insisted on its installation shortly after our engagement, and I had rolled my eyes. Now, seeing Gail standing in the doorway, I'm grateful for his foresight. A creak from the door to the foyer distracts me. It's hanging off its hinges. What the hell happened to that? Was he alone? I asked Brian. Yes, ma'am. You wouldn't be standing here if he wasn't, I can assure you. Ryan sounds vaguely affronted. How did he get in? I ask, ignoring his tone. Through the service elevator. He's got quite a pair, ma'am. I stare down at Jack's slumped figure. He's wearing a uniform of sorts. Coveralls, I think. When? About 10 minutes ago. I caught him on the security monitor. He was wearing gloves. Kinda strange in August. I recognized him and decided to give him access. That way, I knew we'd have him. You weren't here, and Gail was safe, so I figured it was now or never. Ryan looks very pleased with himself once more, and Sawyer scowls at him in disapproval. Gloves? The thought distracts me, and I glance once more at Jack. Yes, he's wearing brown leather gloves. Creepy. What now? I try to dismiss the ramifications from my mind. We need to secure him, Ryan replies. Secure him? In case he wakes. Ryan glances at Sawyer. What do you need? Asks Mrs. Jones, stepping forward. She's recovered her composure. Something to restrain him. Cord or rope, Ryan replies. Cable ties. I flush as memories of the previous night invade my mind. Reflexively, I rub my wrists and glance quickly down at them. No bruising. Good. I have something. Cable ties. Will they do? All eyes turn to me. Yes, ma'am. Perfect, Sawyer says, serious and straight-faced. I want the floor to swallow me up, but I turn and head for our bedroom. Sometimes you just have to brazen things out. Perhaps it's the combination of fear and alcohol making me audacious. When I return, Mrs. Jones is surveying the mess in the foyer, and Miss Prescott has joined the security team. I hand the ties to Sawyer, who slowly, and with unnecessary care, ties Hyde's hands behind his back. Mrs. Jones disappears into the kitchen and returns with the first aid kit. She takes Ryan's arm, leads him into the doorway of the great room, and starts tending to the cut above his eye. He flinches as she dabs it with an antiseptic wipe. Then I notice the Glock on the floor with a silencer attached. Holy shit! Jack was armed? Bile rises in my throat, and I fight it down. Don't touch, Mrs. Gray, says Prescott when I bend to pick it up. Sawyer emerges from Taylor's office, wearing latex gloves. I'll take care of that, Mrs. Gray, he says. It's his? I ask. Yes, ma'am, says Ryan, wincing once more from Mrs. Jones's ministrations. Holy crap! Ryan fought an armed man in my home. I shudder at the thought. Sawyer bends and gingerly picks up the glove. Should you be doing that? I ask. Mr. Gray would expect it, ma'am. Sawyer slides the gun into a Ziploc bag, then squats to pat down Jack. He pauses and partially pulls a roll of duct tape from the man's pocket. Sawyer blanches and pushes the tape back into Hyde's pocket. Duct tape? My mind idly registers as I watch the proceedings with fascination and an odd detachment. Then, bile rises to my throat again as I realize the implications. Rapidly, I dismiss them from my head. Don't go there, Anna. Should we call the police? I mutter, trying to hide my fear. I want Hyde out of my home, sooner rather than later. Ryan and Sawyer glance at each other. I think we should call the police, I say, rather more forcefully, wondering what's going on between Ryan and Sawyer. I've just tried Taylor, and he's not answering his cell. Maybe he's asleep. Sawyer checks his watch. It's 1:45 in the morning on the East Coast. Oh, no. Have you called Christian? I whisper. No, ma'am. Were you calling Taylor for instructions? Sawyer looks momentarily embarrassed. Yes, ma'am. Part of me bristles. This man, I glance down at Hyde again, has invaded my home, and he needs to be removed by the police. But looking at the four of them into their anxious eyes, I decide I must be missing something. So I decide to call Christian. My scalp prickles. I know he's mad at me, really, really mad at me, and I falter at the thought of what he'll say, and how he'll stress because he's not here and can't be here until tomorrow evening. I know I've worried him enough this evening. Perhaps I shouldn't call him. And then it occurs to me, shit, what if I've been here? I pale at the thought. Thank heavens I was out. Maybe I won't be in so much trouble after all. Is he okay? I ask, pointing at Jack. He'll have an aching skull when he wakes, Ryan says, gazing down at Jack with contempt. But we need paramedics here to make sure. I reach into my purse and pull out my BlackBerry, and before I can give too much thought to the extent of Christian's anger, I dial his number. It goes straight to voicemail. He must have switched it off because he's so mad. I cannot think what to say. Turning away, I walk down the hallway a little, away from everyone. Hi, it's me. Please don't be mad. We've had an incident at the apartment, but it's under control, so don't worry. No one is hurt. Call me. I hang up. Call the police, I tell Sawyer. He nods, takes out his cell, and makes the call. Officer Skinner is deep in conversation with Ryan at the dining room table. Officer Walker is with Sawyer in Taylor's office. I don't know where Prescott is. Perhaps in Taylor's office? Detective Clark is barking questions at me as we sit on the couch in the great room. He's tall, dark, and would be good-looking if it weren't for his permanent scowl. I suspect he's been woken and dragged from his warm bed because the home of one of Seattle's most influential and wealthy businessmen has been breached. He used to be your boss? Clark asks tersely. Yes. I am tired, beyond tired, and I want to go to bed. I still haven't heard from Christian. On the plus side, the paramedics have removed Hyde. Mrs. Jones hands Detective Clark and me each a cup of tea. Thanks. Clark turns to me. And where is Mr. Gray? New York, on business. He'll be back tomorrow evening. I mean, this evening. It's after midnight. Hyde is known to us, Detective Clark murmurs. I'll need you to come down to the station to make a statement, but that can wait. It's late, and there are a couple of reporters camped out on the sidewalk. Do you mind if I look around? Of course not, I offer, relieved his questioning is finished. I shudder at the thought of the photographers outside. Well, they won't be a problem until tomorrow. I remind myself to call Mom and Ray just in case they hear anything and worry. Mrs. Gray, may I suggest you go to bed? Mrs. Jones says, her voice warm and full of concern. Looking into her warm, kind eyes, I suddenly feel an overwhelming need to cry. She reaches over and rubs my shoulder. We're safe now, she murmurs. This will all look better in the morning, once you've had some sleep, and Mr. Gray will be back tomorrow evening. I glance nervously up at her, keeping my tears at bay. Christian is going to be so mad. Can I get you anything before you go to bed? She asks. I realize how hungry I am. I'd love something to eat. She smiles broadly. Sandwich and some milk? I nod with gratitude, and she heads into the kitchen. Ryan is still with Officer Skinner. In the foyer, Detective Clark is examining the mess outside the elevator. He looks thoughtful despite the scowl. And suddenly, I feel homesick. Homesick for Christian. Holding my head in my hands, I wish fervently that he were here. He'd know what to do. What an evening. I want to crawl into his lap, have him hold me and tell me that he loves me, even though I don't do as I'm told. But that won't be possible until this evening. Inwardly, I roll my eyes. Why didn't he tell me about the increased security for everyone? What exactly is on Jack's computer? He's so frustrating. But right now, I just don't care. I want my husband. I miss him. Here you are, Anna dear. Mrs. Jones interrupts my inner turmoil. When I glance up at her, she hands me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, her eyes twinkling. I haven't had one of these for years. I smile shyly and dig in. When I finally crawl into bed, I curl up on Christian's side, dressed in his t-shirt. Both his pillow and his t-shirt smell of him. And as I drift off, I silently wish him safe passage home and a good mood. I wake with a start. It's light and my head is aching, throbbing at my temples. Oh no. I hope I don't have a hangover. Cautiously, I open my eyes and notice the bedroom chair has moved, and Christian is sitting in it. He's wearing his tux, and the end of his bow tie is peeping out of the breast pocket. I wonder if I'm dreaming. His left arm is draped over the chair, and in his hand he holds a cut glass tumbler of amber liquid. Brandy? Whiskey? I have no idea. One long leg is crossed at the ankle over his knee. He's wearing black socks and dress shoes. His right elbow rests on the arm of the chair, his hand up to his chin, and he's slowly running his index finger rhythmically back and forth over his lower lip. In the early morning light, his eyes burn with grave intensity, but his general expression is completely unreadable. My heart almost stops. Is he here? How did he get here? He must have left New York last night. How long has he been here watching me sleep? Hi, I whisper. He regards me coolly, and my heart stutters once more. Oh no. He moves his long fingers away from his mouth, tosses back the remainder of his drink, and places a glass on the bedside table. I half expect him to kiss me, but he doesn't. He sits back, continuing to regard me, his expression impassive. Hello, he says finally, his voice hushed, and I know he's still mad, really mad. You're back. It would appear so. Slowly, I pull myself up into a sitting position, not taking my eyes off him. My mouth is dry. How long have you been sitting there watching me sleep? Long enough. You are still mad. I can hardly speak the words. He gazes at me as if considering his response. Mad, he says, as if testing the word, weighing up its nuances, its meaning. No, Anna, I am way beyond mad. Holy crap. I try to swallow, but it's hard with a dry mouth. Way beyond mad. That doesn't sound good. He gazes at me, completely impassive, and doesn't respond. A stark silence stretches between us. I reach over to my glass of water and take a welcome sip, trying to bring my erratic heart rate under control. Ryan caught Jack. I try a different tack, and I place my glass beside his on the bedside table. I know, he says icily. Of course he knows. Are you going to be monosyllabic for long? His eyebrows move fractionally, registering his surprise as if he hadn't expected this question. Yes, he says finally. Oh, okay. What to do? Defense, the best form of attack. I'm sorry I stayed out. Are you? No, I mutter after a pause, because it's true. Why say it then? Because I don't want you to be mad at me. He sighs heavily, as if he's been holding this tension for 1,000 hours, and runs his hand through his hair. He looks beautiful. Mad, but beautiful. I drink him in. Christian's back. Angry, but in one piece. I think Detective Clark wants to talk to you. I'm sure he does. Christian, please. Please what? Don't be so cold. His eyebrows rise in surprise once more. Anastasia, cold is not what I'm feeling at the moment. I'm burning with rage. I don't know how to deal with these. He waves his hand, searching for the word. Feelings. His tone is bitter. Oh, shit. His honesty disarms me. All I want to do is crawl into his lap. It's all I've wanted to do since I came home last night. To hell with this. I move, taking him by surprise and climbing awkwardly into his lap, where I curl up. He doesn't push me away, which is what I'd feared. After a beat, he folds his arms around me and buries his nose in my hair. He smells of whiskey. How much did he drink? He smells of body wash, too. He smells of Christian. I wrap my arms around his neck and nuzzle his throat, and he sighs once more, deeply this time. Oh, Mrs. Gray, what am I going to do with you? He kisses the top of my head. I close my eyes, relishing the contact with him. How much have you had to drink? He stills. Why? You don't normally drink hard liquor. This is my second glass. I've had a trying night, Anastasia. Give a man a break. I smile. If you insist, Mr. Gray. I breathe into his neck. Oh, heavenly. I slept on your side of the bed because your pillow smells of you. He nuzzles my hair. Did you now? I wondered why you were on this side. I'm still mad at you. I know. His hand rhythmically strokes my back. And I'm mad at you, I whisper. He pauses. And what, pray, have I done to deserve your ire? I'll tell you later when you're no longer burning with rage. I kiss his throat. He closes his eyes and leans into my kiss, but makes no move to kiss me back. His arms tighten around me, squeezing me. When I think of what might have happened, his voice is barely a whisper, broken, raw. I'm okay. Oh, Anna. It's almost a sob. I'm okay. We're all okay. A bit shaken, but Gail is fine, Ryan is fine, and Jack is gone. He shakes his head. No thanks to you, he mutters. What? I lean back and glare at him. What do you mean? I don't want to argue about it right now, Anna. I blink. Well, maybe I do, but I decide against it. At least he's talking to me. I nestle into him once more. His fingers move to my hair and start playing with it. I want to punish you, he whispers. Really beat the shit out of you. He adds. My heart leaps into my mouth. Ah. I know, I whisper as my scalp prickles. Maybe I will. I hope not. He hugs me tighter. Anna. You try the patience of a saint. I could accuse you of many things, Mr. Gray, but being a saint isn't one of them. Finally, I am blessed with his reluctant chuckle. Your point well made as ever, Mrs. Gray. He kisses my forehead and shifts. Back to bed. You had a late night, too. He moves quickly, picking me up and depositing me back on the bed. Lie down with me? No, I have things to do. He reaches down and collects the glass. Go back to sleep. I'll wake you in a couple of hours. Are you still mad at me? Yes. I'll go back to sleep then. Good. He pulls the duvet over me and kisses my forehead once more. Sleep. And because I'm so groggy from the night before, relieved that he's back, and emotionally fatigued by our early morning encounter, I do exactly as I'm told. As I drift off, I'm curious though grateful, given the nasty taste in my mouth, to know why he hasn't deployed his usual coping mechanism and leaped on me to have his wicked way. There's some orange juice for you here, Christian says, and my eyes flutter open again. I have had the most restful 2 hours of sleep I can remember, and I wake refreshed, my head no longer throbbing. The orange juice is a welcome sight, as is my husband. He's in his sweats, and I'm momentarily zapped back to the Heathman Hotel and the first time I ever woke up with him. His gray tank top is damp with his sweat. Either he's been working out in the basement gym, or he's been for a run. But he shouldn't look this good after a workout. I'm going to take a shower, he murmurs, and disappears into the bathroom. I frown. He's still distant. He's either distracted by all that's happened, or still mad, or what? I sit up and reach for the orange juice, drinking it down too quickly. It's delicious, ice cold, and it makes my mouth a much better place. I clamber out of bed, anxious to close the distance, real and metaphysical, between my husband and me. I glance quickly at the alarm. It's 8 o'clock. I strip off Christian's t-shirt and follow him into the bathroom. He's in the shower, washing his hair, and I don't hesitate. I slip in behind him, and he stiffens the moment I wrap my arms around him, my front to his wet, muscular back. I ignore his reaction, holding him tightly, and press my cheek flat against him, closing my eyes. After a moment, he shifts so we are both under the cascade of hot water and carries on washing his hair. I let the water wash over me as I cradle the man I love. I think of all the times he's fucked me and all the times he's made love to me in here. I frown. He's never been this quiet. Turning my head, I start to trail kisses across his back. His body stiffens again. Anna, he warns. My hands travel slowly down over his taut stomach to his belly. He places both his hands on mine and brings them to an abrupt halt. He shakes his head. Don't, he warns. I release him immediately. He's saying no? My mind goes into free fall. Has this ever happened before? My subconscious shakes her head, her lips pursed. She glares at me over her half-moon glasses, wearing her "you really fucked up this time" look. I feel like I've been slapped, hard, rejected. and a lifetime of insecurity spawns the ugly thought that he doesn't want me anymore. I gasp as the pain sears through me. Christian turns, and I'm relieved to see he's not completely oblivious to my charms. Grasping my chin, he tilts my head back, and I find myself gazing into his wary gray eyes. I'm still fucking mad at you, he says, his voice quiet and serious. Shit. Leaning down, he rests his forehead against mine, closing his eyes. I reach up and caress his face. Don't be mad at me, please. I think you're overreacting, I whisper. He straightens, blanching. My hand falls free to my side. Overreacting? He snarls. Some fucking lunatic gets into my apartment to kidnap my wife, and you think I'm overreacting? The restrained menace in his voice is frightening, and his eyes blaze as he stares at me as if I'm the fucking lunatic. No, that's not what I was referring to. I thought this was about me staying out. He closes his eyes once more as if in pain and shakes his head. Christian, I wasn't here. I try to appease and reassure him. I know, he whispers, opening his eyes. And all because you can't follow a simple fucking request. His tone is bitter, and it's my turn to blanch. I don't want to discuss this now, in the shower. I am still fucking mad at you, Anastasia. You're making me question my judgment. He turns and promptly leaves the shower, grabbing a towel on the way and stalking out of the bathroom, leaving me bereft and chilled under the hot water. Crap. Then, the significance of what he's just said dawns on me. Kidnap? Jack wanted to kidnap me? I recall the duct tape and not wanting to think too deeply about why Jack had it. Does Christian have more information? Hurriedly, I wash myself, then shampoo and rinse my hair. I want to know. I need to know. I am not going to let him keep me in the dark about this. Christian's not in the bedroom when I come out. Jeez, he dresses quickly. I do the same, throwing on my favorite plum dress and black sandals, and I'm conscious that I've chosen this outfit because Christian likes it. I vigorously towel dry my hair, then braid it and wind it into a bun. Fitting diamond studs into my ears, I dash to the bathroom to apply a little mascara and glance at myself in the mirror. I'm pale. I'm always pale. I take a deep, steadying breath. I need to face the consequences of my rash decision to actually enjoy myself with my friend. I sigh, knowing that Christian won't see it that way. Christian is nowhere to be seen in the great room. Mrs. Jones is busying herself in the kitchen. Good morning, Anna, she says sweetly. Morning. I smile broadly at her. I am Anna again. Tea? Please. Anything to eat? Please. I'd like an omelet this morning. With mushrooms and spinach? And cheese. Coming up. Where's Christian? Mr. Gray's in his study. Has he had breakfast? I glance at the two places set on the breakfast bar. No, ma'am. Thanks. Christian is on the phone, dressed in a white shirt with no tie, looking every bit the relaxed CEO. How deceptive appearances can be. Perhaps he's not going into the office after all. He glances up when I appear in the doorway, but shakes his head at me, indicating that I am not welcome. Shit. I turn and wander dejectedly back to the breakfast bar. Taylor appears, snappily dressed in a somber suit, looking like he's had 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Morning, Taylor, I murmur, trying to gauge his mood and see if he'll offer me any visual cues about what has been going on. Good morning, Mrs. Gray, he replies, and I hear the sympathy in those 4 words. I smile compassionately back at him, knowing he had to endure an angry, frustrated Christian returning to Seattle way ahead of schedule. How was the flight? I dare to ask. Long, Mrs. Gray. His brevity speaks volumes. May I ask how you are? He adds, his tone softening. I'm good. He nods. If you'll excuse me. He heads toward Christian's study. Taylor's allowed in, but not me. Here you go. Mrs. Jones places my breakfast in front of me. My appetite has vanished, but I eat anyway, not wishing to offend her. By the time I've finished what I can of my breakfast, Christian has still not emerged from his study. Is he avoiding me? Thanks, Mrs. Jones, I murmur, sliding off the bar stool to the bathroom to clean my teeth. As I brush them, I'm reminded of Christian's sulk over the wedding vows. He holed up in his study then, too. Is that what this is? Him sulking? I shudder as I recall his subsequent nightmare. Will that happen again? We really need to talk. I need to know about Jack and about the increased security for the Greys. All the details that have been kept from me, but not from Kate. Obviously, Elliot talks to her. I glance at my watch. It's 8:50. I'm late for work. I finish brushing my teeth, apply a little lip gloss, grab my lightweight black jacket, and head back to the great room. I am relieved to see Christian there, eating his breakfast. You're going? He says when he sees me. To work? Yes, of course. Bravely, I walk toward him and rest my hands on the edge of the breakfast bar. He gazes at me blankly. Christian, you've hardly been back a week. I have to go to work. But... He stops and rakes his hand through his hair. Mrs. Jones walks quietly out of the room. Discreet, Gail. Discreet. I know we have a great deal to talk about. Perhaps if he calms down, we can do it this evening. His mouth pops open with dismay. Calmed now. His voice is eerily soft. I flush. You know what I mean. No, Anastasia, I don't know what you mean. I don't want to fight. I was coming to ask you if I could take my car. No, you can't. He snaps. Okay. I acquiesce immediately. He blinks. He's obviously expecting to fight. Prescott will accompany you. His tone is slightly less belligerent. Damn it, not Prescott. I want to pout and protest, but decide against it. Surely now that Jack has been caught, we can cut back on our security. I remember my mom's words of wisdom the day before my wedding. Anna, honey, you really have to choose your battles. It'll be the same with your kids when you have them. Well, at least he's letting me go to work. Okay, I mutter. And because I don't want to leave him like this, with so much unresolved and so much tension between us, I step tentatively toward him. He stiffens, his eyes widen, and for a moment, he looks so vulnerable it pulls at some deep, dark place in my heart. I'm so sorry. I kiss him chastely on the side of his mouth. He closes his eyes as if relishing my touch. Don't hate me, I whisper. He grabs my hand. I don't believe you. You haven't kissed me, I whisper. He eyes me suspiciously. I know, he mutters. I'm desperate to ask him why, but I'm not sure I want to know the answer. Abruptly, he stands and grabs my face between his hands, and, in a flash, his lips are hard on mine. I gasp with surprise, inadvertently granting his tongue access. He takes full advantage, blaming me, and just as I'm beginning to respond, he releases me, his breath quickening. Taylor will take you and Prescott to SIP, he says, his eyes glaring with me. Taylor, he calls. I flush, trying to recover some composure. Sir, Taylor is standing in the doorway. Tell Prescott Mrs. Gray is going to work. Can you drive them, please? Certainly. Turning on his heel, Taylor disappears. If you could try to stay out of trouble today, I would appreciate it. Christian mutters. I'll see what I can do. I smile sweetly. A reluctant half-smile tugs at Christian's lips, but he doesn't give in to it. I'll see you later then, he says coolly. Haters, I whisper. Prescott and I take the service elevator down to the basement garage in order to avoid the media outside. Jack's arrest and the fact that he was apprehended in our apartment are now public knowledge. As I settle into the Audi, I wonder if there will be more paparazzi waiting at SIP like the day our engagement was announced. We drive a while in silence, until I remember to call first Ray and then my mom to reassure them that Christian and I are safe. Mercifully, both calls are short, and I hang up just as we arrive outside SIP. As I feared, there's a small crowd of reporters and photographers lying in wait. They turn as one, looking expectantly at the Audi. Are you sure you want to do this, Mrs. Gray? Taylor asks. Part of me just wants to go home, but that means spending the day with Mr. Burning Rage. I hope that with a little time, he will gain some perspective. Jack is in police custody, so 50 should be happy, but he's not. Part of me understands why. Too much of this is out of his control, including me. But I don't have time to think about this now. Take me around to the delivery entrance, please, Taylor. Yes, ma'am.
Love it.
It's 1 o'clock, and I've managed to immerse myself in work all morning. There's a knock, and Elizabeth pops her head around the door. Can I have a moment? She asks brightly. Sure, I mutter, surprised at her unscheduled visit. She enters and sits down, tossing her long black hair over her shoulder. I just wanted to check you're okay. Roach asked me to pay you a visit. She adds hurriedly, as her face reddens. I mean, with all that went on last night. Jack Hyde's arrest is all over the newspaper, but no one seems to have made the connection yet with the fire at GEH. I'm fine, I answer, trying not to think too deeply about how I feel. Jack wanted to harm me. Well, that's not news. He's tried before. It's Christian I'm more concerned about. I glance quickly at my email. There's still nothing from him. I don't know if I were to send him an email, whether I'd just be provoking Mr. Burning Rage further. Good, Elizabeth answers, and her smile actually touches her eyes for me. If there's anything I can do, anything you need, let me know. Will do. Elizabeth stands. I know how busy you are, Anna. I'll let you get back to it. Thanks. That has to have been the briefest, most pointless meeting in the Western Hemisphere today. Why did Roach send her here? Perhaps he's worried, given I'm his boss's wife? I shake off the dark thoughts and reach for my BlackBerry in the hope that there might be a message from Christian. As I do, my work email pings. From Christian Gray. Subject, statement. Date, August 26, 2011. 13:04. To Anastasia Gray. Anastasia, Detective Clark will be visiting your office today at 3 p.m. to take your statement. I have insisted that he should come to you, as I don't want you going to the police station. Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. I gaze at his email for a full 5 minutes, trying to think of a light and witty response to lift his mood. I draw a complete blank, and opt for brevity instead. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, statement. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:12. To Christian Gray. Okay, A, X. Anastasia Gray, editor, SIP. I stare at the screen for another 5 minutes, anxious for his response, but there's nothing. Christian is not in the mood to play today. I sit back. Can I blame him? My poor 50 was probably frantic back in the early hours of this morning. Then a thought occurs to me. He was in his tux when I woke this morning. What time did he decide to come back from New York? He normally leaves functions between 10 and 11. Last night at that hour, I was still at large with Pete. Did Christian come home because I was out, or because of the Jack incident? If he left because I was out having a good time, he would have had no idea about Jack, about the police, nothing, until he landed in Seattle. It's suddenly very important to me to find out. If Christian came back merely because I was out, then he was overreacting. My subconscious sucks her teeth, wearing her harpy face. Okay, I'm glad he's back, so maybe it's irrelevant. But still, Christian must have had one hell of a shock when he landed. No wonder he's so confused today. His earlier words come back to me. I am still fucking mad at you, Anastasia. You're making me question my judgment. I have to know. Did he come back because of Cocktailgate, or because of a fucking lunatic? From Anastasia Gray. Subject, your flight. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:24. To Christian Gray. What time did you decide to come back to Seattle yesterday? Anastasia Gray, editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, your flight. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:26. To Anastasia Gray. Why? Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, your flight. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:29. To Christian Gray. Call it curiosity. Anastasia Gray, editor, SIP. From Christian Gray. Subject, your flight. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:32. To Anastasia Gray. Curiosity killed the cat. Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, huh? Date, August 26, 2011, 13:35. To Christian Gray. What is that oblique reference to? Another threat? You know where I am going with this, don't you? Did you decide to return because I went out for a drink with my friend after you asked me not to? Or did you return because a madman was in your apartment? Anastasia Gray, editor, SI. I stare at my screen. There is no response. I glance at the clock on my computer. 1:45 and still no response. From Anastasia Gray. Subject, here's the thing. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:56. To Christian Gray. I will take your silence as an admission that you did indeed return to Seattle because I changed my mind. I am an adult female and went for a drink with my friend. I did not understand the security ramifications of changing my mind because you never tell me anything. I found out from Kate that security has, in fact, been stepped up for all the Grays, not just us. I think you generally overreact where my safety is concerned, and I understand why. But you're like the boy crying wolf. I never have a clue about what is a real concern or merely something that is perceived as a concern by you. I had 2 of the security detail with me. I thought both Kate and I would be safe. Fact is, we were safer in that bar than at the apartment. Had I been fully informed of the situation, I would have taken a different course of action. I understand your concerns are something to do with material that was on Jack's computer here, or so Kate believes. Do you know how annoying it is to find out my best friend knows more about what's going on with you than I do? And I am your wife. So are you going to tell me? Or will you continue to treat me like a child, guaranteeing that I continue to behave like one? you are not the only one who is fucking pissed. Okay? Anna. Anastasia Gray. Editor. S.I.P. I hit send. There. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Gray. I take a deep breath. I have worked myself up into quite a rage. Here I was, feeling sorry and guilty for behaving badly. Well, no longer. From Christian Gray. Subject, here's the thing. Date, August 26, 2011, 13:59. To Anastasia Gray. As ever, Mrs. Gray, you are forthright and challenging in email. Perhaps we can discuss this when you get home to our apartment. You should watch your language. I am still fucking pissed, too. Christian Gray, CEO, Gray Enterprises Holdings, Inc. Watch my language? I scowl at my computer, realizing this is getting me nowhere. I don't respond, but pick up a manuscript recently received from a promising new author and begin to read. My meeting with Detective Clark is uneventful. He is less growly than the night before, maybe because he's managed some sleep, or maybe he just prefers working during the day. Thank you for your statement, Mrs. Gray. You're welcome, Detective. Is Hyde in police custody yet? Yes, ma'am. He was released from the hospital earlier this morning. With what he's charged with, he should be with us for a while. He smiles, his dark eyes crinkling in the corners. Good. This has been an anxious time for my husband and me. I spoke at length with Mr. Gray this morning. He's very relieved. Interesting man, your husband. You have no idea. Yes, I think so. I offer him a polite smile, and he knows he's being dismissed. If you think of anything, you can call me. Here's my card. He wrestles a card out of his wallet and hands it to me. Thank you, Detective. I'll do that. Good day to you, Mrs. Gray. Good day. As he leaves, I wonder exactly what Hyde has been charged with. No doubt Christian won't tell me. I purse my lips. We ride in silence to Escala. Sawyer is driving this time, Prescott at his side, and my heart grows heavier and heavier as we head back. I know Christian and I are going to have an almighty fight, and I don't know if I have the energy. As I ride in the elevator from the garage with Prescott beside me, I try to marshal my thoughts. What do I want to say? I think I said it all in my email. Perhaps he'll give me some answers. I hope so. I can't help my nerves. My heart is pounding, my mouth is dry, and my palms are sweaty. I don't want to fight. But sometimes he's so difficult, and I need to stand my ground. The elevator doors slide open, revealing the foyer, and it's once more neat and tidy. The table is upright, and a new vase is in place with a gorgeous array of pale pink and white peonies. I quickly check the paintings as we wander through. The Madonnas all look to be intact. The broken foyer door is fixed and operational once more, and Prescott kindly opens it for me. She's been so quiet today. I think I prefer her this way. I drop my briefcase in the hall and head into the great room. I stop. Holy fuck. Good evening, Mrs. Gray. Christian says softly. He's standing by the piano, dressed in a tight black t-shirt and jeans. Those jeans. The ones he wore in the playroom. My. They are overwashed pale blue denim, snug, ripped at the knee, and hot. He saunters over to me, his feet bare, the top button of the jeans undone, his smoldering eyes never leaving mine. Good to have you home. I've been waiting. Chapter 11. Have you now? I whisper. My mouth goes drier still, my heart pounding in my chest. Why is he dressed like this? What does it mean? Is he still sulking? I am. His voice is kitten soft, but he's smirking as he strolls closer to me. He looks hot, his jeans hanging that way from his hips. Oh no, I'm not going to be distracted by Mr. Sex on Legs. I try to gauge his mood as he stalks toward me. Angry? Playful? Lustful? It's impossible to tell. I like your jeans, I murmur. He grins a disarming, wolfish grin that doesn't reach his eyes. Still mad. He's wearing these to distract me. He halts in front of me, and I'm seared by his intensity. He gazes down, wide, unreadable eyes burning into mine. I swallow. I understand you have issues, Mrs. Gray, he says silkily, and he pulls something from the back pocket of his jeans. I can't tear my gaze from his, but hear him unfold a piece of paper. He holds it up, and, glancing briefly in its direction, I recognize my email. My gaze returns to his, as his eyes blaze bright with anger. Yes, I have issues, I whisper, feeling breathless. I need distance if we're going to discuss this, but before I can step back, he leans down and runs his nose along mine. My eyes flutter to a close as I welcome his unexpected, gentle touch. So do I, he whispers against my skin, and I open my eyes at his words. He straightens and gazes intently at me once more. I think I'm familiar with your issues, Christian. My voice is wry, and he narrows his eyes, suppressing the amusement that sparks there momentarily. Are we going to fight? I take a precautionary step back. I must physically distance myself from him. From his smell, his look, his distracting body in those hot jeans. He frowns as I move away. Why did you fly back from New York? I whisper. Let's get this over and done with. You know why. His tone carries a warning ring. Because I went out with Kate? Because you went back on your word, and you defied me, putting yourself at unnecessary risk. Went back on my word? Is that how you see it? I gasp, ignoring the rest of his sentence. Yes. Holy crap. Talk about overreaction. I start to roll my eyes, but stop when he scowls at me. Christian, I changed my mind, I explain slowly, patiently, as if he's a child. I'm a woman. We're renowned for it. That's what we do. He blinks at me as if he doesn't comprehend this. If I had thought for 1 minute that you would cancel your business trip, words fail me. I realize I don't know what to say. I am momentarily catapulted back to the argument over our vows. I never promised to obey you, Christian. But I hold my tongue, because deep down, I'm glad he came back. In spite of his fury, I'm glad he's here in one piece, angry and smoldering in front of me. You changed your mind? He can't hide his contemptuous disbelief. Yes.
Get me out of
And you didn't think to call me? He glares at me, incredulous, before continuing. What's more, you left the security detail short here and put Ryan at risk. Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Damn, girl.
I should have called, but I didn't want to worry you. If I had, I'm sure you would have forbidden me to go, and I'd missed Kate. I wanted to see her. Besides, they kept out of the way when Jack was here. Ryan shouldn't have let him in. This is so confusing. If Ryan hadn't, Jack would still be at large. Christian's eyes gleam wildly, then shut, his face tightening as if in pain.
Those are actually not for individual sale.
He shakes his head, and before I know it, he has folded me in his arms, pulling me hard against him. Oh, Anna, he whispers as he tightens his hold on me so that I can barely breathe. If something were to happen to you. His voice is barely a whisper. It didn't, I managed to say. But it could have. I've died 1,000 deaths today thinking about what might have happened. I was so mad, Anna. Mad at you, mad at myself, mad at everyone. I can't remember being this angry except... He stops again. Except, I prompt, once in your old apartment, when Layla was there. Oh, I don't have to think about that. You were so cold this morning, I murmur. My voice cracks on the last word as I remember the hideous feeling of rejection in the shower. His hands move to the nape of my neck, loosening their grip on me, and I take a deep breath. He pulls my head back. I don't know how to deal with this anger. I don't think I want to hurt you, he says, his eyes wide and wary. This morning, I wanted to punish you badly, and... He stops, lost for words, I think, or too afraid to say them. You were worried you'd hurt me? I finished the sentence for him, not believing that he'd hurt me for a minute, but relieved, too. A small, vicious part of me feared it was because he didn't want me anymore. I didn't trust myself, he says quietly.
Yeah, I would too, so I'd go and
Christian, I know you'd never hurt me. Not physically, anyway. I clasp his head between my hands.
I used to just buy it and fucking
He asks, and there's skepticism in his voice. Yes, I knew what you said was an empty, idle threat. I know you're not going to beat the shit out of me. I wanted to. No, you didn't. You just thought you did. I don't know if that's true, he murmurs. Think about it, I urge, wrapping my arms around him once more, nuzzling his chest through the black t-shirt. About how you felt when I left. You've told me often enough what that did to you. How it I just want to feel his mouth on mine. He whispers as he breaks away. I do.
Not like crazy hot.
He strokes my face with the backs of his knuckles and the tip of his thumb, gazing intently into my eyes. His anger has gone. My 50 is back from wherever it's been. It's good to see him. I glance up and smile shyly. Besides, I whisper, you don't have to be. His mouth drops open in amused shock, and he clutches me to his chest again. You're right, I don't. He laughs. We stand in the middle of the great room, locked in our embrace, just holding each other. Come to bed, he whispers, after heaven knows how long. Christian, we need to talk. Later, he urges softly. Christian, please, talk to me. He sighs. Backside. Flexing his hips, he presses his growing erection into me. Christian, I scold. Talk to me. He sighs once more with exasperation. What do you want to know? His voice is resigned as he releases me. I balk. I didn't mean you had to let me go. Taking my hand, he reaches down to pick up my email from the floor. Lots of things, I mutter, as I let him lead me to the couch. Sit, he orders. Some things never change, I muse, doing as I'm told. Christian sits beside me and, leaning forward, puts his head in his hands. Oh no, is this too hard for him? Then he sits up, rakes both hands through his hair, and turns to me, at once expectant. Ask me. Oh, well, that was easier than I thought. Why the additional security for your family? It was a threat to them. How do you know? From his computer. It held personal details about me and the rest of my family, especially Eric. Eric? Why him? I don't know yet. Let's go to bed. Christian, tell me. Tell you what? You are so exasperating. So are you. He glares. You didn't ramp up the security when you first found out there was information about your family on the computer. So, what happened? Why now? Christian narrows his eyes at me. I didn't know he was going to attempt to burn down my building, or... He stops. We thought it was an unwelcome obsession, but you know. He shrugs. When you're in the public eye, people are interested. It was random stuff. News reports on me from when I was at Harvard, my rowing, my career. Reports on Karen, following his career, following my mom's career, and to some extent, Elliot and Mia. How strange. You said or, I prompt. Or what? You said attempt to burn down my building, or like you were going to say something else. Are you hungry? What? I frown at him, and my stomach rumbles. Did you eat today? His voice is sterner, and his eyes frost. I'm betrayed by my flesh. As I thought. His voice is clipped. You know how I feel about you not eating. Come, he says. Stands and holds out his hand. Let me feed you. And he shifts again. This time his voice full of sensual promise. Feed me? I whisper, as everything south of my navel liquefies. Hell, this is such a typically mercurial diversion from what we've been discussing. Is that it? Is that all I'm getting out of him for now? Leading me over to the kitchen, Christian grabs a bar stool and hefts it around to the other side of the island. Sit, he says. Where's Mrs. Jones? I ask, noticing her absence for the first time as I perch on the stool. I've given her and Taylor the night off. Oh. Why? He gazes at me for a beat, and his arrogant amusement is back. Because I can. So you're going to cook? My voice betrays my incredulity. Oh, ye of little faith, Mrs. Gray. Close your eyes. Wow, I thought we were going to have a full-on fight, and here we are, playing in the kitchen. Close them, he orders. I roll them first, then oblige. Not good enough, he mutters. I open one eye and see him take a plum-colored silk scarf out of the back pocket of his jeans. It matches my dress. Holy cow. I look quizzically at him. When did he get that? Close, he orders again. No peeking. You're going to blindfold me? I mutter, shocked. All of a sudden, I'm breathless. Yes. Christian, he places a finger upon my lips, silencing me. I want to talk. We'll talk later. I want you to eat now. You said you were hungry. He lightly kisses my lips. The silk of the scarf is soft against my eyelids as he ties it securely at the back of my head. Can you see? He asks. No, I mutter, figuratively rolling my eyes. He chuckles softly. I can tell when you're rolling your eyes, and you know how that makes me feel. I purse my lips. Can we just get this over and done with? I snap. Such impatience, Mrs. Gray. So eager to talk. His tone is playful. Yes! I must feed you first, he says, and brushes his lips over my temple, calming me instantly. Okay, have it your way. I resign myself to my fate and listen to his movements around the kitchen. The fridge door opens and Christian places various dishes on the countertop behind me. He pads over to the microwave, pops something in, and turns it on. My curiosity is piqued. I hear the toaster lever drop, the turn of the control, and the quiet tick of the timer. Toast? Yes, I am eager to talk, I murmur, distracted. An assortment of exotic, spicy aromas fills the kitchen, and I shift in my chair. Be still, Anastasia, he murmurs, and he's close to me again. I want you to behave, he whispers. Oh my, and don't bite your lip. Gently, he tugs my bottom lip free of my teeth, and I can't help my smile. Next, I hear the sharp pop of a cork being drawn from a bottle, and the gentle glug of wine being poured into a glass. Then a moment of silence, followed by a quiet click and the soft hiss of white noise from the surround sound speakers as they come to life. A loud twang of a guitar begins a song I don't know. Christian turns the volume down to background level. A man starts to sing, his voice deep, low, and sexy. A drink first, I think, Christian whispers, diverting me from the song. Head back. I tip my head back. Further, he prompts. I oblige, and his lips are on mine. Cool, crisp wine flows into my mouth. I swallow reflexively. Oh my. Memories flood back of not so long ago. Me trussed up on my bed in Vancouver before I graduated, with a hot, angry Christian not appreciating my email. Have times changed? Not much, except now I recognize the wine, Christian's favorite, a Sancerre. I murmur in appreciation. You like the wine, he whispers, his breath warm on my cheek. I'm bathed in his proximity, his vitality, the heat radiating from his body, even though he doesn't touch me. Yes, I breathe. More. I always want more with you. I almost tease Gren. It makes me grin too. Mrs. Gray, are you flirting with me? Yes. His wedding ring clinks against the glass as he takes a sip of wine. Now that is a sexy sound. This time, he pulls my head right back, cradling me. He kisses me once more, and greedily I swallow the wine he gives me. He smiles as he kisses me again. Hungry? I think we've already established that, Mr. Gray. The troubadour on the iPod is singing about wicked games. How apt. The microwave pings, and Christian releases me. I sit upright. The food smells. Garlic, mint, oregano, rosemary, and lamb, I think. The door to the microwave opens, and the appetizing smell grows stronger. Shit! Christ! Christian curses, and a dish clatters onto the countertop. Oh, 50. You okay? Yes, he snaps, his voice tight. A moment later, he's standing beside me once more. I just burned myself. Here. He eases his index finger into my mouth. Maybe you could suck it better. Oh. Clasping his hand, I draw his finger slowly from my mouth. There, I soothe, and leaning forward, I blow, cooling his finger, then kiss it gently twice. He stops breathing. I reinsert it into his mouth and suck gently. He inhales sharply, and the sound travels straight to my groin. He tastes as delicious as ever, and I realize that this is his game, the slow seduction of his wife. I thought he was mad, and now? This man, my husband, is so confusing. But this is how I like him. Playful, fun, sexy as hell. He's given me some answers, but I'm greedy. I want more. But I want to play too. After the anxiety and tension of today, and the nightmare of last night with Jack, this is a welcome diversion. What are you thinking? Christian murmurs, stopping my thoughts in their tracks as he pulls his finger out of my mouth. How mercurial you are. He stills beside me. 50 shades, he says eventually, and plants a tender kiss at the corner of my mouth. My 50 shades, I whisper. Grabbing his t-shirt, I pull him back to me. Oh, no you don't, Mrs. Gray. No touching. Not yet. He takes my hand, pries it off his t-shirt, and kisses each finger in turn. Sit up, he commands. I pout. I will spank you if you pout. Now open wide. Oh. I open my mouth, and he pops in a forkful of spicy hot lamb covered in a cool, minty yogurt sauce. I chew. You likes? Yes. He makes an appreciative noise, and I know he's eating and enjoying it too. More. I nod. He gives me another forkful, and I chew it enthusiastically. He puts the fork down and he tears bread, I think. Open, he orders. This time it's pita bread and hummus. I realize Mrs. Jones, or maybe even Christian, has been shopping at the delicatessen I discovered about 5 weeks ago, only 2 blocks from Escala. I chew gratefully. Christian in a playful mood increases my appetite. He asks. I nod. More of everything, please. I'm starving. I hear his delighted grin. Slowly and patiently, he feeds me, occasionally kissing a morsel of food from the corner of my mouth, or wiping it off with his fingers. Intermittently, he offers me a sip of wine in his unique way. Open wide, then bite, he murmurs. I follow his command. One of my favorites, stuffed vine leaves. Even cold, they are delicious, though I prefer them heated up. But I don't want to risk Christian burning himself again. He feeds it to me slowly, and when I finish, I lick his fingers clean. He asks, his voice low and husky. I shake my head. I'm full. He whispers against my ear, because it's time for my favorite voice. You. He scoops me up in his arms, surprising me so much I squeal. Can I take the blindfold off? No. I almost pout, then remember his threat and think better of it. Later, he murmurs. Oh, I don't know if that's a good idea. You up for the challenge? He asks, and because he's used the word challenge, I can't say no. Bring it on, I murmur, desire and something that I don't want to name jamming through my body. He carries me through the door, then up the stairs to the 2nd floor. I think you've lost weight, he mutters disapprovingly. I have? Good. I remember his comment when we arrived back from our honeymoon, and how much it smarted. Jeez, was that just a week ago? Outside the playroom, he slides me down his body and sets me on my feet, but keeps his arm wrapped around my waist. Briskly, he unlocks the door. It always smells the same, polished wood and citrus. It's actually become a comforting smell. Releasing me, Christian turns me around until I'm facing away from him. He undoes the scarf, and I blink in the soft light. Gently, he pulls the hairpins from my updo, and my braid falls free. He grasps it and tugs gently, so I have to step back against him. I have a plan, he whispers in my ear, sending delicious shivers down my spine. I thought you might, I answer. He kisses me beneath my ear. Oh, Mrs. Gray, I do. His tone is soft, mesmerizing. He tugs my braid to the side and plants a trail of soft kisses down my throat. First, we have to get you naked. His voice hums low in his throat and resonates through my body. I want this, whatever he has planned. I want to connect the way we know how. He turns me around to face him. I glance down at his jeans, the top button still undone. and I can't help myself. I brush my index finger around the waistband, avoiding his t-shirt, feeling the hairs of his happy trail tickle my knuckles. He inhales sharply, and I look up to meet his eyes. I stop at the unfastened button. His eyes darken to a deeper gray. Oh my. You should keep these on, I whisper, grabbing me with one hand on the back of my neck and the other around my backside. He pulls me against him, then his mouth is on mine, and he's kissing me like his life depends on it. Whoa. He walks me backward, our tongues entwined, until I feel the wooden cross behind me. He leans into me, the contours of his body pressing into mine. Let's get rid of this dress, he says, peeling my dress up my thighs, my hips, my belly, deliciously slowly, the material skimming over my skin, skimming over my breasts. Lean forward, he says. I comply, and he pulls my dress over my head and discards it on the floor, leaving me in my sandals, panties, and bra. His eyes blaze as he grasps both my hands and raises them over my head. He blinks once and tilts his head to one side, and I know he's asking for my permission. What is he going to do to me? I swallow, then nod, and a trace of an admiring, almost proud smile touches his lips. He clips my wrists into the leather cuffs on the bar above and produces the scarf once more. Think you've seen enough. He wraps it around my head, blindfolding me again, and I feel a frisson run through me as all my other senses heighten. The sound of his soft breathing, my own excited response, the blood pulsing in my ears. Christian's scent mixed with the citrus and polish in the room. All are brought into sharper focus because I can't see. His nose touches mine. I'm going to drive you wild, he whispers. His hands grasp my hips, and he moves down, removing my panties as his hands glide down my legs. Drive me wild. Wow. Lift your feet, one at a time. I oblige, and he removes first my panties, then each sandal in turn. Gently grasping my ankle, he tugs my leg gently to the right. Step, he says. He cuffs my right ankle to the cross, then proceeds to do the same with my left. I am helpless, spread eagled on the cross. Standing, Christian steps toward me, and my body is bathed in his warmth once more, though he doesn't touch me. After a moment, he grasps my chin, tilts my head up, and kisses me chastely. Some music and boys, I think. You look beautiful like this, Mrs. Gregg. I may take a moment to admire the view. His voice is soft. Everything clenches deep inside. After a moment, maybe two, I hear him pad quietly to the museum chest and open one of the drawers. The blood drawer? I have no idea. He takes something out and places it on the top, followed by something else. The speakers spring to life, and after a moment, the strains of a single piano playing a soft, lilting melody fill the room. It's familiar. Bach, I think, but I don't know what piece it is. Something about the music makes me apprehensive. Perhaps because the music is too cool, too detached. I frown, trying to grasp why it unsettles me. The Christian grasps my chin, startling me, and tugs gently so that I release my bottom lip. I smile, trying to reassure myself. Why do I feel uneasy? Is it the music? Christian runs his hand from my chin, along my throat, and down my chest to my breast. Using his thumb, he pulls on the cup, freeing my breast from the restraint of my bra. He makes a low, appreciative humming noise in his throat and kisses my neck. His lips follow the path of his fingers to my breast, kissing and sucking all the way. His fingers move to my left breast, releasing it from my bra. I moan as he skates his thumb across my left nipple, and his lips close around my right, tugging and teasing gently until both both nipples are long and hard. Ah! He doesn't stop. With exquisite care, he slowly increases the intensity on each. I pull fruitlessly against my restraints as sharp pleasure spikes from my nipples to my groin. I try to squirm, but I can hardly move, and it makes the torture all the more intense. Christian, I plead. I know, he murmurs, his voice hoarse. This is what you make me feel. What? I groan, and he begins again, subjecting my nipples to his sweet, agonizing touch over and over, taking me closer. Please, I mewl. He makes a low, primal sound in his throat, then stands, leaving me bereft, breathless, and squirming against my restraints. He runs his hands down my sides, one pausing on my hip while the other travels down my belly. Let's see how you're doing, he croons softly. Gently, he cups my sex, brushing his thumb across my clitoris and making me cry out. Slowly, he inserts one, then two fingers inside me. I groan and thrust my hips forward, eager to meet his fingers and the palm of his hand. Oh, Anastasia, you are so ready, he says. He circles his fingers inside me, around and around, while his thumb strokes my clitoris, back and forth once more. It's the only point on my body where he's touching me, and all the tension, all the anxiety of the day is concentrated on this one part of my anatomy. Holy shit, it's intense and strange. The music. I begin to build. Christian shifts, his hand still moving against and in me, and I hear a low buzzing noise. What? I gasp. Hush, he soothes, and his lips are on mine, effectively silencing me. I welcome the warmer, more intimate contact, kissing him voraciously. He breaks the contact and the buzzing noise gets nearer. This is a wand, baby. It vibrates. He holds it against my chest, and it feels like a large ball-like object vibrating against me. I shiver as it moves across my skin, down between my breasts, across to first one, then the other nipple, and I'm awash with sensation, tingling everywhere, synapses firing as dark need pools at the base of my belly. Ah! I groan, while Christian's fingers continue to move inside me. I'm close. All this stimulation. Tilting my head back, I moan loudly and Christian stills his fingers. All sensation stops. No! Christian! I plead, trying to thrust my hips forward for some friction. Still, he says while my impending orgasm melts away. He leans forward once more and kisses me. Frustrating, isn't it? He murmurs. Oh no. Suddenly, I understand his game. Christian, please. Hush, he says, and kisses me. And he starts to move again. Wand, fingers, thumb. A lethal combination of sensual torture. He shifts so his body brushes against mine. He's still dressed, and the soft denim of his jeans brushes against my leg, his erection at my hip, so tantalizingly close. He brings me to the brink again, my body singing with need, and stops. No, I mewl loudly. He plants soft, wet kisses on my shoulder as he withdraws his fingers from me and moves the wand down. It oscillates over my stomach, my belly, onto my sex, against my clitoris. Fuck, it's intense. Ah! I cry out, pulling hard on the restraints. My body is so sensitized I feel I am going to explode. And just as I am, Christian stops again. Christian! I cry out. Frustrating, yes. He murmurs against my throat. Just like you. Promising one thing and then... His voice trails off. Christian, please, I beg. He pushes the wand against me again and again, stopping just at the vital moment each time. Each time I stop, it feels more intense when I start again, right? Please, I whimper. My nerve endings are screaming for release. The buzzing stops, and Christian kisses me. He runs his nose down mine. You are the most frustrating woman I have ever met. No. Christian, I never promised to obey you. Please. He moves in front of me, grabs my behind, and pushes his hips against me, making me gasp. His groin rubbing into mine, the buttons of his jeans pressing into me, barely containing his erection. With one hand, he pulls off the blindfold and grasps my chin, and I blink up into his scorching eyes. You drive me crazy, he whispers, flexing his hips against me once, twice, 3 times more, causing my body to spark, ready to burn. And again, he denies me. I want him so badly. I need him so badly. I close my eyes and mutter a prayer. I can't help but feel I'm being punished. I'm helpless, and he's ruthless. Tears spring to my eyes. I don't know how far he's going to take this. Please, I whisper once more. But he gazes down at me, implacable. He's just going to continue. For how long?
That's my birthday.
Can I play this game? No, I can't do this. I know he's not going to stop. He's going to continue to torture me. His hand travels down my body once more. No! And the dam bursts. All the apprehension, the anxiety, and the fear from the last couple of days overwhelming me anew as tears spring to my eyes. I turn away from him. This is not love. It's revenge. Red! I whimper. Red! The tears course down my face. He stills. No! He gasps, stunned. Jesus Christ, no! He moves quickly, unclipping my hands, clasping me around my waist and leaning down to unclip my ankles, while I put my head in my hands and weep. No, Anna. Please, no. Picking me up, he moves to the bed, sitting down and cradling me in his lap while I sob inconsolably. I'm overwhelmed, my body wound up to breaking point, my mind a blank, and my emotions scattered to the wind. He reaches behind him, drags the satin sheet off the 4-poster bed, and drapes it around me. The cool sheets feel alien and unwelcome against my sensitized skin. He wraps his arms around me, hugging me close, rocking me gently backward and forward. I'm sorry, Christian murmurs, his voice raw. He kisses my hair over and over again. Anna, forgive me, please. Turning my face into his neck, I continue to cry, and it's a cathartic release. So much has happened over the last few days. Fires and computer rooms, car chases, careers planned out for me, slutty architects, armed lunatics in the apartment, arguments, his anger, and Christian has been away. I hate Christian going away. I use the corner of the sheet to wipe my nose and gradually become aware the critical tones of Bach are still echoing around the room. Please switch the music off? I sniff. Yes, of course. Christian shifts, not letting me go, and pulls the remote out of his back pocket. He presses the button and the piano music ceases, to be replaced by my shuddering breaths. Better? He asks. I nod, my sobs easing. Christian wipes my tears away gently with his thumb. Not a fan of Bach's Goldberg variations, he asks. Not that piece. He gazes down at me, trying and failing to hide the shame in his eyes. I'm sorry, he says again. Why did you do that? My voice is barely audible as I try to process my scrambled thoughts and feelings. He shakes his head sadly and closes his eyes. I got lost in the moment, he says unconvincingly. I frown at him and he sighs. Anna, orgasm denial is a standard tool in... Never... He stops. I shift in his lap and he winces. Oh, I flush. Sorry, I mutter. He rolls his eyes and leans back suddenly, taking me with him so that we're both lying on the bed, me in his arms. My bra is uncomfortable, and I adjust it. Need a hand? He asks quietly. I shake my head. I don't want him to touch my breasts. He shifts so he's looking down at me, and tentatively raising his hand. He strokes his fingers gently down my face. Tears pool in my eyes again. How can he be so callous one minute and so tender the next? Please don't cry, he whispers. I'm dazed and confused by this man. My anger has deserted me in my hour of need. I feel numb. I want to curl up in a ball and withdraw. I blink, trying to hold back my tears as I gaze into his harrowed eyes. I take a shuddering breath, my eyes not leaving his. What am I going to do with this controlling man? Learn to be controlled? I don't think so. I never what? I asked. Do as you're told. You changed your mind. You didn't tell me where you were. Anna, I was in New York, powerless and livid. If I'd been in Seattle, I'd have brought you home. So you are punishing me? He swallows, then closes his eyes. He doesn't have to answer, and I know that punishing me was his exact intention. You have to stop doing this, I murmur. His brow furrows. For a start, you only end up feeling shittier about yourself. He snorts. That's true, he mutters. I don't like to see you like this. And I don't like feeling like this. You said on The Fair Lady that you hadn't married a submissive. I know. His voice is soft and raw. Well, stop treating me like one. I'm sorry I didn't call you. I won't be so selfish again. I know you worry about me. He gazes at me, scrutinizing me closely, his eyes bleak and anxious. Okay, good, he says eventually. He leans down but pauses before his lips touch mine, silently asking if it's allowed. I raise my face to his, and he kisses me tenderly. Your lips are always so soft, you've been crying, he murmurs. I never promised to obey you, Christian, I whisper. I know. Deal with it, please, for both our sakes. And I will try to be more considerate of your controlling tendencies. He looks lost and vulnerable, completely at sea. I'll try, he murmurs, his voice burning with sincerity. I sigh, a long, shuddering sigh. Please do. Besides, if I had been here, I know, he says and blanches. Lying back, he puts his free arm over his face. I curl around him and lay my head on his chest. We both lie silent for a few moments. His hand moves to the end of my braid. He pulls the tie from it, freeing my hair, and gently, rhythmically, combs his fingers through it. This is what this is really about. His fear. His irrational fear for my safety. An image of Jack Hyde slumped on the floor in the apartment of Locke comes to mind. Well, maybe not so irrational. Which reminds me. What did you mean earlier when you said or? I asked. Or? Something about Jack. He peers down at me. You don't give up, do you? I rest my chin on his sternum, enjoying the soothing caress of his fingers in my hair. Give up? Never. Tell me. I don't like being kept in the dark. You seem to have some overblown idea that I need protecting. You don't even know how to shoot. I do. Do you think I can't handle whatever it is you won't tell me, Christian? I've had your stalker ex-sub pull a gun on me, your pedophile ex-lover harass me, and don't look at me like that, I snap when he scowls at me. Your mother feels the same way about her. You talked to my mother about Elena? Christian's voice raises a few octaves. Yes, Grace and I talked about her. He gapes at me. She's very upset about it. Blames herself. I can't believe you spoke to my mother. Shit. He lies down and puts his arm over his face again. I didn't go into any specifics. I should hope not. Grace doesn't need all the gory details. Christ, Anna, my dad too? No. I shake my head vehemently. I don't have that kind of relationship with Karen. His comments about the prenup still sting. Anyway, you're trying to distract me. Again. Jack, what about him? Christian lifts his arm briefly and gazes at me, his expression unreadable. Sighing, he puts his arm back over his face. Hyde is implicated in Charlie Tangle's sabotage. The investigators found a partial print. Just partial, so they couldn't make a match. But then you recognized Hyde in the server room. He has convictions as a minor in Detroit, and the prints matched his. My mind reels as I try to absorb this information. Jack brought down Charlie Tango? The Christian is on a roll. This morning, a cargo van was found in the garage here. Hyde was the driver. Yesterday, he delivered some shit to that new guy who's moved in. The guy we met in the elevator. I don't remember his name. Me neither. Christian says. But that's how Hyde managed to get into the building legitimately. He was working for a delivery company. And? What's so important about the van? Christian says nothing. Christian, tell me. The cops found things in the van. He stops again and tightens his hold around me. What things? He's quiet for several moments, and I open my mouth to prompt him, but he speaks. A mattress, enough horse tranquilizer to take down a dozen horses, and a note. His voice has softened to barely a whisper, while horror and revulsion roll off him. Holy fuck. Note? My voice mirrors his, addressed to me. What did it say? Christian shakes his head, indicating he doesn't know, but that he won't divulge its contents. Oh. Hyde came here last night with the intention of kidnapping you. Christian freezes, his face taut with tension. As he says those words, I recall the duct tape, and a shudder runs through me. Though deep down, this is not news to me. Shit, I mutter. Quite, Christian says tightly. I try to remember Jack in the office. Was he always insane? How did he think he could get away with this? I mean, he was pretty creepy, but this unhinged? I don't understand why, I murmur. It doesn't make sense to me. I know. The police are digging further, and so is Welch. But we think Detroit is the connection. Detroit? I gaze at him. Yeah, there's something there. I still don't understand. Christian lifts his face and gazes at me, his expression unreadable. Anna, I was born in Detroit. Chapter 12. I thought you were born here in Seattle, I murmur. My mind races. What does this have to do with Jack? Christian raises the arm covering his face, reaches behind him, and grabs one of the pillows. Placing it under his head, he settles back and gazes at me with a wary expression. After a moment, he shakes his head. No, Elliot and I were both adopted in Detroit. We moved here shortly after my adoption. Grace wanted to be on the West Coast, away from the urban sprawl, and she got a job at Northwest Hospital. I have very little memory of that time. Mia was adopted here. So Jack is from Detroit? Yes. Oh. How do you know? I ran a background check when you went to work for him. Of course he did. Do you have a manila file on him too? I smirked. Christian's mouth twists as he hides his amusement. I think it's pale blue. His fingers continue to run through my hair. It's soothing. What does it say in his file? Christian blinks. Reaching down, he strokes my cheek. You really want to know? Is it that bad? He shrugs. I've known worse. He whispers. No. Is he referring to himself? And the image I have of Christian as a small, dirty, fearful, lost boy comes to mind. I curl around him, holding him tighter, pulling the sheet over him, and I lay my cheek against his chest. What? He asks, puzzled by my reaction. Nothing, I murmur. No. This works both ways, Anna. What is it? I glance up, assessing his apprehensive expression. Resting my cheek upon his chest once more, I decide to tell him. Sometimes I picture you as a child, before you came to live with the Grays. Christian stiffens. I wasn't talking about me. I don't want your pity, Anastasia. That part of my life is done. Gone. It's not pity, I whisper, appalled. It's sympathy and sorrow. Sorrow that anyone could do that to a child. I take a deep, steadying breath as my stomach twists and tears prick my eyes anew. That part of your life is not done, Christian. How can you say that? You live every day with your past. You told me yourself. 50 Shades, remember? My voice is barely audible. Christian snorts and runs his free hand through his hair, though he remains silent and tense beneath it. I know it's why you feel the need to control me, keep me safe. And yet, you choose to defy me, he murmurs, baffled, his hand stilling in my hair. I frown. Holy cow, do I do that deliberately? My subconscious removes her half-moon glasses and chews the end, pursing her lips and nodding. I ignore her. This is confusing. I'm his wife, not his submissive, not some company he's acquired. I'm not the crack whore who was his mother. The thought is sickening. Dr. Flynn's words come back to me. Just keep doing what you're doing. Christian is head over heels. It's a delight. See, that's it. I'm just doing what I've always done. Isn't that what Christian found attractive in the first place? Oh, this man is so confusing. Dr. Flynn said I should give you the benefit of the doubt. I think I do. I'm not sure. Perhaps it's my way of bringing you into the here and now, away from your past. I whisper. I don't know. I just can't seem to get a handle on how far you'll overreact. He's silent for a moment. Fucking Flynn, he mutters to himself. He said I should continue to behave the way I've always behaved with you. Did he now? Christian says dryly. Okay. Here goes nothing. Christian, I know you loved your mom and you couldn't save her. It wasn't your job to do that. But I'm not her. He freezes again. Don't. He whispers. No, listen. Please. I raise my head to stare into wide eyes that are paralyzed with fear. He's holding his breath. Oh, Christian. My heart constricts. I'm not her. I'm much stronger than she was. I have you, and you're so much stronger now. And I know you love me. I love you too, I whisper. His brow creases as if my words were not what he expected. Do you still love me? He asks. Of course I do. Christian, I will always love you, no matter what you do to me. Is this the reassurance he wants? He exhales and closes his eyes, placing his arm over his face again, but hugging me closer too. Don't hide from me. Reaching up, I grasp his hand and pull his arm away from his face. You've spent your life hiding. Please don't. Not from me. He looks at me with incredulity and frowns. Hiding? Yes. He shifts suddenly, rolling over onto his side and moving me so that I am lying beside him on the bed. He reaches up, smooths my hair off my face, and tucks it behind my ear. You asked me earlier today if I hated you. I didn't understand why. And now... He stops, staring down at me as if I'm a complete conundrum. You still think I hate you? Now my voice is incredulous. No. He shakes his head. Not now. He looks relieved. But I need to know. Why did you say for it, Anna? I blanch. What can I tell him? That he frightened me? That I didn't know if he'd stop? That I begged him and he didn't stop? That I didn't want things to escalate? Like that one time in here. I shudder as I recall him whipping me with his belt. I swallow. Because you were so angry and distant and cold. I didn't know how far you'd go. His expression is unreadable. Are you going to let me come? My voice is barely a whisper, and I feel a blush steal over my cheeks, but I hold his gaze. No, he says eventually. Holy crap. That's harsh. His knuckle gently grazes my cheek, but effective. He murmurs. He gazes down at me as if he's trying to see into my soul, his eyes darkening. After an eternity, he murmurs, I'm glad you did. Really? I don't understand. His lips twist in a sad smile. Yes, I don't want to hurt you. I got carried away. He reaches down and kisses me, lost in the moment. He kisses me again. Happens a lot for you. Oh? And for some bizarre reason, the thought pleases me. I grin. Why does that make me happy? He grins too. I don't know why you're grinning, Mrs. Gray. Me neither. He wraps himself around me and places his head on my chest. We are a tangle of naked and denim-clad limbs and satin-red sheets. I stroke his back with one hand and run the fingers of my other hand through his hair. He sighs and relaxes in my arms. It means I can trust you. To stop me. I never want to hurt you. He murmurs. I need. He halts. You need what? I need control. Like I need you. It's the only way I can function. I can't let go of it. I can't. I've tried. And with you. He shakes his head in exasperation. I swallow. This is the heart of our dilemma. His need for control and his need for me. I refuse to believe these are mutually exclusive. I need you too. I whisper, hug him tighter. I'll try, Christian. I'll try to be more considerate. I want you to need me, he murmurs. Holy cow. I do. My voice is impassioned. I need him so much. I love him so much. I want to look after you. You do, all the time. I missed you so much while you were away. You did? He sounds so surprised. Yes, of course. I hate you going away. I sense his smile. You could have come with me. Christian, please, let's not rehash that argument. I want to work. He sighs as I run my fingers gently through his hair. I love you, Anna. I love you too, Christian. I will always love you. We both lie still in the quiet after our storm, listening to the steady beat of his heart. I drift, exhausted, into sleep. I wake with a start, disoriented. Where am I? The playroom. The lights are still on, softly illuminating the blood-red walls. Christian moans again, and I realize this is what woke me. No, he groans. He's sprawled out beside me, his head back, his eyes screwed shut, his face contorted in anguish. Holy shit, he's having a nightmare. No, he cries out again. Christian, wake up! I struggle to sit up, taking off the sheet. Kneeling beside him, I grab his shoulders and shake him as tears spring to my eyes. Christian, please, wake up! His eyes spring open, gray and wild, his pupils enlarged with fear. He stares vacantly up at me. Christian, you're having a nightmare. You're home. You're safe. He blinks, looks around frantically, and frowns as he takes in our surroundings. Then his eyes are back on mine. Anna, he breathes, and with no preamble whatsoever, he grabs my face with both hands, pulls me down onto his chest, and kisses me, hard. His tongue invades my mouth, and he tastes of desperation and need. Barely giving me a chance to breathe, he rolls over, his lips locked to mine so that he's pressing me into the hard mattress of the four-poster. One of his hands clasps my jaw, the other spreads out on top of my head, keeping me still as his knee parts my legs, and he nestles, still clothed in his jeans, between my thighs. Anna, he gasps, as if he can't believe I'm there with him. He gazes down at me for a split second, allowing me a moment to breathe. Then his lips are on mine again, plundering my mouth, taking all I have to give. He groans loudly, flexing his hips into me. His erection sheathed in denim pushes into my soft flesh. Oh, I moan, and all the pent-up sexual tension of earlier erupts, resurfacing with a vengeance, flushing my system with desire and need. Driven by his demons, he urgently kisses my face, my eyes, my cheeks, along my jaw. I'm here, I whisper, trying to calm him, our heated, panting breath mingling. I wrap my arms around his shoulders as I grind my pelvis against his in welcome. Oh, Anna, he pants, his voice rough and low. I need you. Me too, I whisper urgently, my body desperate for his touch. I want him. I want him now. I want to heal him. I want to heal me. I need this. His hand reaches down and tugs on the button of his fly, fumbling momentarily, then freeing his erection. Holy shit. I was asleep less than a minute ago. He shifts, staring down at me for a split second, suspended above me. Yes, please, I breathe, my voice hoarse and needy. And in one swift move, he buries himself inside me. Ah! I cry out, not from any pain, but from surprise at his alacrity. He groans, and his lips find mine again as he pushes into me, over and over, his tongue possessing me, too. He moves frantically, compelled by his fear, his lust, his desire, his love? I don't know, but I meet him thrust for thrust, welcoming him. Anna, he growls, almost inarticulately, and he comes powerfully, pouring himself into me, his face strained, his body rigid, before he collapses with his full weight onto me, panting, and he leaves me hanging. Again. Holy shit. This is not my night. I hold him, drawing in a lungful of air and practically writhing in need beneath him. He eases out of me and holds me for minutes. Many minutes. Finally, he shakes his head and leans up on his elbows, taking some of his weight. He gazes down at me as if seeing me for the first time. Oh, Anna, sweet Jesus. He bends and kisses me tenderly. You okay? I breathe, caressing his lovely face. He nods, but he looks shaken and most definitely stirred. My own lost boy. He frowns and stares intently into my eyes as if finally registering where he is. You? He asks, concern in his voice. I wriggle beneath him, and after a moment he smiles, a slow, carnal smile. This is Gray. You have needs. He murmurs. He kisses me swiftly, then scoots off the bed. Kneeling on the floor at the end of the bed, he reaches up, grabs me just above the knees, and pulls me toward him so my behind is on the edge of the bed. Sit up, he murmurs. I struggle into a sitting position, my hair falling like a veil around me, down to my breasts. His gray gaze holds mine as he gently pushes my legs apart as far as they'll go. I lean back on my hands, knowing full well what he's going to do. But he's just, you are so fucking beautiful, Anna. He breathes, and I watch his copper-haired head dip and plant a trail of kisses up my right thigh, heading north. My whole body clenches in anticipation. He glances up at me, his eyes darkening through long lashes. What? He rasps. Then his mouth is on me. Oh my. I cry out as the world is concentrated at the apex of my thighs, and it's so erotic. Fuck. Watching his tongue against what feels like the most sensitive part of my body. And he shows no mercy, teasing and taunting, worshipping me. My body tenses and my arms start to tremble from the strain of staying upright. No! I murmur. Gently, he eases one long finger inside me, and I can bear it no more. Collapsing back onto the bed, relishing his mouth and fingers on and in me. Slowly and gently, he massages that sweet, sweet spot deep inside me. And that's it. I'm gone. I explode around him, crying out an incoherent rendition of his name as my intense orgasm arches my back off the bed. I think I see stars. It's such a visceral, primal feeling. Reaching down, I caress his hair. I'm not finished with you yet, he murmurs. And before I fully come back to Seattle, planet Earth, he's reaching for me, grasping my hips and pulling me off the bed to where he's kneeling, into his waiting lap and onto his waiting erection. I gasp as he fills me. Holy cow. Oh, baby. He breathes as he wraps his arms around me and stills, cradling my head and kissing my face. He flexes his hips, and pleasure spikes hot and hard from deep within me. He reaches for my behind and lifts me, rocking his groin upward. I moan, and his lips are on mine again as he slowly, oh so slowly, lifts and rocks. I throw my arms around his neck, surrendering to his gentle rhythm and to wherever he'll take me. I flex my thighs, riding him. He feels so good. Leaning backward, I tilt my head back, my mouth open wide in a silent expression of my pleasure, reveling in his sweet longing. Anna, he breathes, and he leans down, kissing my throat, holding me tight, slowly easing in and out, pushing me higher and higher. So exquisitely timed, a fluid carnal force. Blissful pleasure radiates outward from deep, deep inside me as he holds me so intimately. I love you, Anna, he whispers. whispers close to my ear, his voice low and harsh, and he lifts me again. Up, down, up, down. I curl my hands back around his neck into his hair. I love you too, Christian. Opening my eyes, I find he's gazing at me, and all I see is his love, shining bright and bold in the soft glow of the playroom light, his nightmare seemingly forgotten. And as I feel my body build toward my release, I realize this is what I wanted. This connection, this demonstration of our love. Come for me, baby, he whispers, his voice low. I screw my eyes shut as my body tightens at the low sound of his voice, and I come loudly, spiraling into an intense climax. He stills, his forehead against mine, as he softly whispers my name, wraps his arms around me, and finds his own release. He lifts me gently and lays me on the bed. I lie in his arms, wrung out and finally sated. He nuzzles my neck. Better now, he whispers. Shall we go to bed, or do you want to sleep here? Mrs. Gray. How sweet. He sounds amused. Is that the best you can do? Come, let me put you to bed. I don't like sleeping here. Reluctantly, I shift and turn to face him. Wait, I whisper. He blinks at me, looking all wide-eyed and innocent, and at the same time thoroughly fucked and pleased with himself. Are you okay? I ask. He nods, smiling smugly like an adolescent boy. I am now. Oh, Christian. I scold and gently stroke his lovely face. I was talking about your nightmare. His expression freezes momentarily. Then he closes his eyes and tightens his arms around me, burying his face in my neck. Don't, he whispers, his voice hoarse and raw. My heart lurches and twists once more in my chest, and I clutch him tightly, running my hands down his back and through his hair. I'm sorry, I whisper, alarmed by his reaction. Holy fuck. How can I keep up with these mood swings? What the hell was his nightmare about? I don't want to cause him any more pain by making him relive the details. It's okay, I murmur softly, desperate to bring him back to the playful boy of a moment ago. It's okay, I repeat over and over, soothingly. Let's go to bed. Leaving me empty and aching as he rises from the bed. I scramble after him, keeping the satin sheet wrapped around me, and bend to pick up my clothes. Leave those, he says, and before I know it, he's scooped me up in his arms. I don't want you to trip over this sheet and break your neck. I put my arms around him, marveling that he's recovered his composure, and nuzzle him as he carries me downstairs to our bedroom. My eyes spring open. Something is wrong. Christian is not in bed, though it's still dark. Glancing at the radio alarm, I see it's 3:20 in the morning. Where's Christian? Then I hear the piano. Quickly slipping out of bed, I grab my robe and run down the hallway to the great room. The tune he's playing is so sad, a mournful lament that I've heard him play before. I pause in the doorway and watch him in a pool of light while the achingly sorrowful music fills the room. He finishes, then starts the piece again. Why such a plaintive tune? I wrap my arms around myself and listen spellbound as he plays, but my heart aches. Why so sad? Is it because of me? Did I do this? When he finishes, only to start a third time, I can bear it no longer. He doesn't look up as I near the piano, but shifts to one side so I can sit beside him on the piano bench. He continues to play, and I put my head on his shoulder. He kisses my hair, but doesn't stop playing until he's finished the piece. I peek up at him, and he's staring down at me, warily. Did I wake you? He asks. Only because you were gone. What's that piece called? It's Chopin. It's one of his preludes in E minor. Christian pauses. It's called Suffocation. Reaching over, I take his hand. You're really shaken by all this, aren't you? He snorts. A deranged asshole gets into my apartment to kidnap my wife. She won't do as she's told. She drives me crazy. She safe words on me. He closes his eyes briefly, and when he opens them again, they are stark and raw. Yeah, I'm pretty shaken up. I squeeze his hand. I'm sorry. He presses his forehead against mine. I dreamed you were dead. He whispers. What? Lying on the floor. So cold. And you wouldn't wake up. Oh. Hey, it was just a bad dream. Reaching up, I clasp his head in my hands. His eyes burn into mine, and the anguish in them is sobering. I'm here, and I'm cold without you in bed. Come back to bed, please. I take his hand and stand, waiting to see if he'll follow me. Finally, he stands too. He's wearing his pajama bottoms, and they hang in that wave he has, and I want to run my fingers along the inside of his waistband, but I resist and lead him back to the bedroom. When I wake, he's curled around me, sleeping peacefully. I relax and enjoy his enveloping heat, his skin on my skin. I lie very still, not wanting to disturb him. Boy, what an evening. I feel like I've been run over by a train. The freight train that is my husband. Hard to believe that the man lying beside me, looking so serene and young in his sleep, was so tortured last night. And so tortured me last night. I gaze up at the ceiling, and it occurs to me that I always think of Christian as strong and dominating. Yet the reality is, he's so fragile. I'm lost boy. And the irony is that he looks upon me as fragile. And I don't think I am. Compared to him, I'm strong. But am I strong enough for both of us? Strong enough to do what I'm told and give him some peace of mind? I sigh. He's not asking that much of me.